Very soon.
Matt.
I wish you could give me credit for it now. I'll give it to you now.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's study session. Apologize, we are 2 minutes late. Tonight, hello,
Little echo there.
am I good now? I don't like to listen to myself. Tonight, we have on our study session, we've got the Destination Marketing Organization, an annual work, or the program plan for the Chamber and the DMO. So I'm going to hand it off to you, Larry. You want to introduce, or did I already introduce it?
You can go ahead, Mayor.
All right, so Renee Luzon-Ben, who is our the CEO, President of the Chamber of Commerce, and Mr. Liu here is the Director for the Destination Marketing Organization. So I'll hand the floor off to you all.
Thank you, sir. Can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to start because Lou joined us 6 weeks ago, and there's been a lot of work done before he arrived, and there's a lot of work that's been done in the last 6 weeks, and Lou can tell you about all the things he's got in motion. I'm Renee Luzon-Ben. I'm the Executive Director of the Chamber. Mayor, I always appreciate how you say my name right. Thank you. Oops. And I'm going to flip glasses on and off because I can see that, but up here, this is just not okay. So what I'm going to do first is just kind of give you a little, let's step back in time. We've been working on this since, the mayor presented it at his Biz Outlook Luncheon, the Chamber's Biz Outlook Luncheon in May of 2019 as a CMO, not a DMO, and I had signed an agreement, but I was not an employee of the Chamber yet. And I was like, this is interesting. And it has been something that we have worked on since then, many presentations to hoteliers to gain their support for the expansion tax of the bed tax that went into effect this past January, as well as presentations to City Council to support that as well. And so I'm excited to be here to tell you where we are now. Some things that we were able to get done is this past January of 22 and February, several representatives, the PIO from the city at that time, LaTanya, the board chair of the chamber, Brian Gardenier, and myself participated in a cohort with a Coragio group and other chambers across the state to put together our strategic plan for the tourism, the destination services plan for the tourism office. And I'm going to use that phrase a lot because DMO is a technical phrase. It's kind of like when I worked in healthcare, we try to avoid using acronyms around people who don't work in healthcare. DMO is a phrase that is used a lot in tourism and is certainly a necessary phrase for the Arizona Department of Revenue for the agreement. However, to the general public, a tourism office is something they understand. So the tourism office, we developed a plan and worked on some things. However, the actual agreement with the city occurred in September of 2022, signed on the 17th and countersigned on or about that week. And moving forward to a payment of a budget at the very end of December of 2022. But what's really neat is we had this first whole section area focus to build the organizational and governance structure. We have established a regular advisory board, and that is represented by Mayor Craig McFarland, Matt Herman, who represents the Chamber's board to the advisory board, Ash Patel with Southwest Hospitality Management. He's building a hotel on the other side of I-10. We're just waiting to do a groundbreaking someday soon. Now Heather Kennedy from the PIO office, Holly Ricosi with Main Street, Mindy Pieper we actually added her as a community representative, a resident. That was her initial joining, but she's also transitioned from one office in the recreation department to the PIO office, so it's a win. And Taylor Nakakihara, who is with Sun Communities, Palm Creek, and some other 55-plus communities here in Casa Grande. We did have Eddie Rezga from Texas Roadhouse, but there's been a change in management there, so we're looking to backfill with another restaurateur. So we've been meeting regularly, and all of the rest of the meetings are scheduled out for the rest of this year. We meet tomorrow at 9. We're going to give them an update on tonight. Some other things we were able to do, we had rewritten the chamber's bylaws during 2021 and adopted those. However, I do now have from Sedona, and we're similar in our model, our organizational structure, a chamber running the DMO, or tourism office, as a department of itself. So we have Sedona's that we can look at and glean from that what is the best fit for this community and this chamber, and we will be presenting those in the very near murky future. Some other things I wanted to talk about before I hand it over to Lou, because the next slide, and moving on from that, it's all Lou. No, not yet. No, not yet. I wanted to talk about, as part of our agreement, we have some items that are considered our scope of service. The first would be our advisory board. That is developed, and we will meet regularly, and we will have minutes and keep up with all of those things. An annual work session, is that tonight?
That's tonight.
So this is our annual work session, and so this is presenting to you all about what we're doing. And we will get with you probably once a year. I think next year we'll definitely do it before July,
In
though.
April.
April? Our destination services plan, which Lou will talk to in just a moment. Our destination marketing, and there are a lot of things that, even though we did not have a director, and that you can see, that was item 3 of the initiatives, was to hire a manager or director. And I can tell you, in June, I was very happy to check that off the list of things to accomplish. We were fortunate last year to have applied for 2 grants, and from those grants, we were able to participate in many publications throughout Arizona, and 2 that we will be participating in, and those were sent around for you to look at. There's tabs in the ones that we're in, and the ones that don't have any little Post-it notes on it, they're yet to be published with our add-in because of their timing. But of those, we are participating in the official state travel guide that will come out later this year. The Phoenix travel guide that comes out in September. Just to say, the one in Arizona goes to every visitor center. It's put out by the Arizona Office of Tourism. There are 400,000 issues printed. So you have a copy up there. 400,000. And they go, we have a stack of them, a box in our office, just like every other visitor in the center in the state, and we will have a half-page ad there. So if any of you see the ad that looks like the neon sign park, that's what's going in that one, as well as Phoenix. And we'll have some more slides to show you. Also, the Arizona State RV Travel Guide, there's 100,000 of those, and those are distributed through visitor centers as well as RV parks. And through the chamber, we've made sure one of our local RV repair and service and sales places, providers, has them as well. The Tucson Official Travel Guide, and lastly, Arizona Drive Guide, which comes out quarterly with 124,000 publications per quarter, and those are distributed at places where you rent a car. You rent your car, you get your travel guide, and that helps influence, maybe not the trip you're on today, but the trip you'll be on next time. So, and then our other scope of services is visitor services. So this is an interesting part. We've been the visitor center for years, but, you know, with more visitors and drawing more people here, we hope down the road that we need volunteers every single day of all year long. This year, not so much in the summer, but in the wintertime, it'll be nice to have all of our visitors coming back. So when we report on things we're doing, even though we report our visitor activity also in our quarterly report to the city, because everyone in the office contributes to what happens in our lobby, and that's our visitor center. You'll see those here too. And then what I handed out, Larry and I discussed performance metrics. And so there's a spreadsheet that went out, and we narrowed down to, of all the taxes collected, these are the ones we're going to watch and see what's going on with them. For instance, this amusement, what's up with all those red numbers and what's influencing that? So we're going to learn that. The retail is mostly good, except for March, April, May this year. It's not pretty. It went down. Hotels, the increase in bed tax, all of those things we're going to track and report on. And I think that takes me on to the next slide, which is all you. Take it away, Lou.
Hey everyone. This slide you are looking at the timeline of all the strategic planning initiatives. So if you can shift your area of focus to the activate and implement existing destination brand, and the board and I, we all come to the mutual conclusion that the first priority would be build the standalone DMO website. And the good news is we are on track of that. I already have narrowed down all the details goes into the DMO website, and we will have our first 1.0 website up by the mid of September. The reason I believe we should have the DMO website up, that's the fundamental that we can have to move on with anything else, with marketing purpose and management purpose. Rest of the initiative that relates to that focus with develop a media strategy and channels to enhance destination reputation. Again, that is kind of like an add-on bonus that attached to the DMO website, if that makes sense. So if you're looking at like social media platforms, so that will be kind of the major marketing channel we are looking at. And we already have created the social media accounts relate to the DMO website. So just in case we don't get that stolen away by someone else. That will be also get published around a similar timeline with the DMO website, which is going to be September 15th period of time, so the middle of September. And as far as the contents goes into the DMO website, Brian from Blossom Digital already have me pre-filled a questionnaire, so to decide what contents should goes on that. And our reference is built upon based on the current Casa Grande visitor guide. So that's where we're gonna start, and then we're gonna modify and improve from that. Any questions regarding to the initiative about the DMO website? Okay.
I do want to take a moment to point out everything you see there. This actually represented quite a lot of time invested by many members of our advisory boards. So this is a result of everyone working together and talking about the plan. It was not done, on an island just by me and Lou. It had everyone engaged, and we really appreciate everyone's time, Mayor, Matt, everyone. It was a lot of work. Good work.
Right. So the last initiative that relates to the focus of second focus, it will be enhanced promotion of existing events. So currently the chamber already have a calendar of events that have combined information from the city and also the main street. That's kind of like the starting point of where we select the tourism-related events we should promote and focus on. So we have events from January till December. And the next focus is like how we're gonna look at a promotion perspective to recruit get more visitors to coming to these events and increase the awareness and influence of the destination of Casa Grande. Any questions regarding to that initiative? Okay, so then we're gonna shift our focus to the next area of focus that will be support local tourism product and asset development. And the most important initiative is probably just gonna be inventory and map Casa Grande's tourism products and assets. From this, I got a lot of help from the city, especially I'm gonna big thanks to Ms. Richard Wilkie here from the Economic Development Office. He gave me a bunch of lists that include our restaurants, venues, bars, and hotels. That's kind of like the major sectors in the tourism industry. And they are the kind of the major stakeholders as far as relates to, your sales tax and bed tax. And also, the website is waiting on this list for the map and inventory of the Casa Grande tourism products and assets. Chamber already has a good resource of the current member that can go into this category. Any questions relate to this initiative? Okay, so I'm gonna move on to the next initiative, which is invest in local tourism events and festivals. And the reason we believe this initiative is needed is for destination promotion, cultural preservation, and celebration. It's about community engagement, diversification of tourism offering, and collaboration and partnership. And this is really the events we offer that represent our community, our city, that gonna make us stand out from other destinations. You know, you have a lot of smaller destinations in the valley that are around Phoenix area, but we are not them. We are Casa Grande. We are this city that stand alone in here that's so different from other destinations. So some of the action steps that relate to that is we are working with some of the event planning company trying to figure out what's the best events we should put on for Casa Grande that we can generate some revenue and we can also generate some attention, and eventually we can attract some of the nearby residents or visitors from other destinations to Casa Grande. And that gonna have a effect, collateral effect, that they can also check out our restaurant, check into our hotels, and just an economic boost through tourism, if that makes sense. So any questions relate to this initiative? All right.
Before you move on, I have a
Yes.
quick question.
Go ahead.
And I can ask it at the end, but it's regarding this. So
No worries.
I like the idea that you're going to promote some of the existing events, because we have some fantastic events, the street fair, the electric light parade.
Mm-hmm.
But excited to see that you're going to look into other events that might be appealing not only to our community, but other people. So do you have any idea, like, how many activities or events you're looking to bring, and who you're going to reach out to get some ideas?
Right. So just easy way to look at these two initiatives. So one, we're gonna keep doing the current events that kind of tourism focused. We're gonna keep doing that. And two, the second part will be we're gonna create some new events that gonna be tourism focused that can generate sales tax and bed tax to bring the economic to the city. Some of the partners we decide to work with is going to be the city, Parks and Rec Department, and Main Street, and also some other nonprofit within the city. We're still trying to do more research and figure out, what's the best practice. There's a lot of things going on, and just for the current effort, what we have in mind is going to have like a food festival that's like a kind of generic festival. You can never go wrong with that. That's going to generate a lot of attention and attract everyone in the city to attend. Yeah.
Yeah, I think too, this is a work in progress, so
Right.
the commission, which I'm part of, and so is Matt, is just kind of putting those ideas
Right.
together, right? So
Yeah.
we met with actually Atessa this past week in the Podium Club, and he offered up the track for events, right? So there's a lot of things starting to pop.
Yeah.
Could we do bike racing up on CG Mountain? Sure, I mean, all those kinds of things, so they're all ideas that are in, he's kind of starting to put that,
Yeah.
collect that information.
And it's wonderful. I think I love this idea and bringing, events that celebrate our uniqueness, whether it's culture, You know, we're very rich in, you know, our Hispanic community, our Native American community, and, you know, so that's what I was kind of getting at, is I
Sure.
love that idea to
Well,
maybe bring
and-
some events.
And that's part of the process, is trying to figure out what do we have special to offer?
Right.
And from a tourism standpoint.
So, ma'am,
I was going to also, and this is the really neat thing about when you have a group of people around the table. One of the members, Mindy, said, have you ever considered reaching out to production companies and inviting them to you to see what they might be looking to have? They might have an idea of an event to have, but maybe are we the right place to bring it to? You know, I know someone is like, maybe you should have a balloon festival. Like, our neighbors do a balloon festival. That would be cheesy to do one of those. We want to do something different and unique, and I think Lou's made a connection with a production company to start exploring those avenues on what can we do that becomes unique to Casa Grande.
So-
Perfect, thank you.
I want to
Yeah.
add real quick, because I'm on the board, but I think part of your question was how many? I mean,
Yeah.
we're at least going to make the first couple of years one big signature event,
Yeah.
and maybe that's something we've had in the past, maybe not.
Right.
We've talked, I'm going to speak out of class here, but we talked about Odom Tosh or Cowboy
Right.
Days or something like that, or something
Or the
new.
Mike Serby event.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like the roping events, something that we already have, but we can make it better.
bigger.
You know, make
Right.
it bigger.
And promote
And then
it all,
like,
yeah.
you know, like sort of Fiesta stuff we have downtown too. So
Right.
working closely, but there will be at least one new
Good.
signature event at some point, but we're really excited. So.
So I can give you something real quick. So one of the guiding principles that I was following is like we should stick to what we have, you know, as far as what Casa Grande can offer. So that's where we're gonna start from.
Thank
Any other questions that relate to the strategic planning or the initiatives, action steps? Anything? Okay, I'm just gonna move on to some of the publications or advertisement we've been doing. And I'm gonna leave.
This was really neat, because when we signed up for the grant last year with, by the way, Arizona Office of Tourism has typically had what they call their Rural Cooperative Marketing Program. The word rural is no longer part of it. Pima County DMOs can apply, Maricopa County cannot. But we don't outgrow it, which is really neat. This particular project I kept on getting emails from them, and I said, I'm sorry, I didn't order this one on the menu, because it's literally a menu. You go through and select all the items you've been interested in. This is sent out to people who plan sports events. We've got a mountain. You know, why not bring mountain biking to Casa Grande? But this was actually free to us. They wanted to include us in it. We had not been in it before, and we received a full-page spread in it, and as well as another page which is a full ad of men's ball league, softball or baseball league. The photo is made possible by the City of Casa Grande PIO office. This is the RV guide I mentioned. They don't give you so much of an ad as a page of content helping to tell your story. So this was a full page and worth every penny. This, again, goes out to all of, I can go back to my list of publications here, but this goes to RV parks throughout the state, as well as visitor centers throughout the state. And I know when we've distributed things from the chamber, we have a list of 65. As well as, I'll make sure places like Norris RV get them as well, to hand out to people there. And this is, we made a lot of our neon sign park this year. It is unique to us. Thank you. There you go. This is the ad you'll see in the Phoenix, official Phoenix guide, as well as the Arizona Office of Tourism guide. And,
Can you thanks,
I'm
Renee.
so sorry. Can you all hear me now? I apologize.
Yeah, it's the,
We have to take turns in front of the mic, my apologies. Anyway, this, because it's the Arizona Office of Tourism, you can see that they're co-branded. In the corner, you have the logo from AOT. But when we use the neon sign park or anything that is a Main Street project, You'll also see that we either brand it, include the link to the URL to the Neon Sign Park or to Main Street in our ads. But that's just such a pretty picture. It's a nice way to tell the Casa Grande story. We want to show how diverse Casa Grande is, that it's not just the place that, I don't know, people think it is when I go, they call it Casa Grande. I've had a person tell me they called it Casa Bland, and I was just like, stop. Casa Grande. Anyway, this is sunrise at Casa Grande Mountain. We have hiking, we have young people, we have seniors. We don't want it to just be pictures of people playing pickleball, although pickleball tournaments are going younger and younger. The next one, speaking of young people play golf, and they all get matching golf shoes. I happen to know this family, and they did this photo op just for us. But this has been out in the Drive Guide as well as some others, and I like the fact that we're showing that young people enjoy playing and staying in Casa Grande. And then lastly, we were very fortunate, and this is one of 2 photos we've used that are from a local high school mountain biking club. And you'll see some more of that because with the work that Lou is doing, there's going to be a collection of photos developed that we'll be using on the website. But, you know, people need to know if you like mountain biking, you can do it here. We have 17 miles of trails, developed trails. Oh, and then you.
Sorry, everyone, I forgot to say that. But as far as the timeline tracking wise for all the action plans, we are on track. We even ahead of the schedule on the DMO website about 2 weeks. So original plan was launched in October, but the tech team from Blossom Digital, they were able to speed up for about like 2 weeks. So that gives us a little bit buffer time to kind of focus on some other things. So this slides over here is kind of like a mock-up design for the billboards that we're gonna have. The timeline for these billboards is probably gonna run from October 7th to August 7th to October 29th. So it's pretty much gonna be beginning of August to the end of October. And we're gonna have 9 billboards. 5 of the billboards gonna be digital billboards that in Phoenix, in the Valley, and 4 of the boards will be vinyl boards. So 2 of the vinyl boards will be around Tucson, and 2 of the boards will be kind of near Coolidge, and 1 is on I-10. You're gonna see it because one of these billboards, we are so lucky that we get a really good spot to catch other traffic. The estimate impression, so the concept of impression is just pretty much like how many people gonna see it and read it. It's gonna be around 7 million for this duration. And I think it's pretty good for the cost for these billboards. It's really cost effective. And this is just like one of the mock-up design that we come up with for one of the vinyl boards. So this one doesn't change. And if you want to go into a little bit more details of this, I believe these boards, they light up from, according to the Arizona state law, is probably from 6 a.m. till 10, 11 p.m. So you got enough exposure from daytime to nighttime for all the flowing traffic. And for the digital billboards in the city, we decided to go with more designs, so they change every 8 seconds. It's not like a motion, so because according to the law, you cannot have anything moving on the billboards. It has to be static. So after 8 seconds, it just changes into another advertisement. For those, we decided to take a different strategy because, you know, the traffic in the valley can quite be slow sometimes. So they got more time to read those. So it's like a little bit more information on the digital billboards, you know, to kind of draw that attention to the valley. And also Mayor has some great ideas, like eventually, you know, the city may have something to do for employment purpose with also in working partner with the Economic Development Office to draw more employment into Casa Grande. Any questions regarding to the billboard?
Just where are those tacos? Like which, where are those from? You don't want to say, right? You don't
Yes, so since you mentioned that, I guess I'm just gonna move forward to the next thing we are doing. So we were fortunate enough to get a grant from AOT, Arizona Office Tourism Office. We were able to launch this new program called Taco Trails. So if you ever did some wine trails or brewery trails or bourbon trails in other destination, it's similar concept. You have this digital pass on your phone that you can check into different restaurant in Casa Grande, and depends how many restaurant you've been accomplished, you can get rewards based on that. So it's just a thing to give to the visitors, to have spending money at our local restaurant and keep that money stay in Casa Grande.
And also get them to experience Casa Grande.
Mm-hmm.
You said it so different.
Yeah.
Sorry. I
No
should have
worries.
spoken towards the microphone.
Taco it.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
And so, any questions regarding to that, to the taco trails? Okay, I'm gonna move on. Sorry, it's not really on the slides. This is still kind of in the very early stage of this plan. But what I have proposed to the mayor and Larry regarding about industrial tourism. So that concept is about, it's kind of a type of tourism that focus on visiting locations that link back to the local industries. So it can be very broad. Agritourism, it would fall under one of those. So it would be a tourism that focus on specific industries. It's about education, production, and experience. So this kind of tourism is really allow travelers to kind of learn new things while exploring, and it's emphasis on learning and providing insights into production process. And till now, I guess you probably kind of follow where I'm heading next, which is all the manufacturers and the factories that we have in Casa Grande. Based on the size we are in Casa Grande, we have a lot of them here. And, they are kind of the supporting industry that within Casa Grande. And the way I can come up with relate to tourism is, we can have them open their doors to the public. It would be a good exposure to the local community, to the visitors, what we are offering in Casa Grande, and what we are about in Casa Grande. And it's a growing industry. So 2 years ago, in 2021, you're probably looking at $900 million industry. So in 2028, the growth rate is about 27%, and it's gonna grow up to $1.2 billion. And as far as my knowledge goes, Mesa, Gilbert, Glendale, Tempe, Phoenix, all those satellite cities in the valley, they are now really offering a lot of factory tours, and they don't have that kind of assets and ability to do that, but we can do that. It's just a matter of fact, how we get them engaged. And
Can I add a little something?
Oh, sorry.
Like just some ideas we had? Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
So Lou led us in a meeting a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about with the agricultural tourism, maybe go, from the farm where they grow the alfalfa all the way to the dairy where it comes out the end product, and then from the dairy to the cream cheese. We can do it all right here in Casa Grande, sour cream, cream cheese.
Yogurt.
Or like copper into batteries at Lucid. We're mining the copper here all the way down, so.
And then
We're-
out
it's
on
very
the
early
and then
stages.
out in the racetrack to test
Yeah.
drive the Lucid.
Yeah, and then out to the race, yeah. So we got a lot of early ideas, and he did a great job,
Good
and
ideas.
the board brainstormed a lot of stuff. So that's the kind of tourism we're talking about.
Yeah.
And maybe some of the food manufacturers, if we
Something
get
we
through
have
regulations,
that
but
people
something
else
that we have, yeah.
Nobody else has.
Frito
Yeah.
Lay with chips, dip it, Daisy.
And maybe in the end, they can give away a bathtub, a car, some chips. No.
Get your lucid.
Cha-ching.
Didn't you get a lucid?
I got a little lucid.
Come on, Mayor, we know you can talk them into it.
So
It's taken me 6 years.
as far as some of the benefits from this kind of tourism, the major one's going to be boost local economics and generate revenues. And for the factories, they're going to have some on-site sales. It really depends. It can be like a B2C, like business to customer, or B2B, business to business sales. So if you're looking at that way, it can be at a macro level to a macro level. And also improve production. And there's also opportunities to increase exposure for employment. That's kind of just the byproduct from this experience. As far as my concerns, a really major destination that offers a lot of this experience are not really within United States. They are mostly located in Asia, Europe, and some part of South America. So the industry start to kind of slowly reacting to this emergence of this kind of tourism, but I think we get a head start of getting some initiative on this product development. Any questions regarding to the industrial tourism?
I like it. Love it.
Love it.
Love it, live it, work it.
We've been very busy.
Yes, you have. I think it's awesome, so thank you. We're gonna meet tomorrow, right? So,
Yeah.
9 o'clock?
Yep.
Go ahead, man.
I wanted to make a couple comments as the president of the Chamber of Commerce right now, or chairman of the board. Like Renee said when she accepted the position, was like, oh yeah, we're putting on this little tourism office. And she said, oh, yeah, I can handle that. And, you know, with COVID and everything got pushed back, but she was constantly working, getting these grants with her small staff at the chamber, and they did a great job.
Yep.
And I want to publicly recognize Renee, and I did at the chamber as well, but the chamber is doing great as our Chamber of Commerce, and we're doing a very great job of keeping that going, but she has been dedicating so much time to getting this tourism destination marketing, we call it the tourism board now because it's so much better, to hiring someone, and we had some challenges, and we finally found Lou, and he's been a great asset. He moved across the United States from North Carolina and
To be
stopped
here.
all along the way to check out different tourism offices and brought back a lot of information. So I just want to say that, you know, Renee has done a great job leading the chamber and the DMO organization during her tenure, especially this year as we ramped up. And Lou has jumped in with both feet and gotten, you know, we had this big meeting, I don't know, a couple weeks ago where we started this, all of a sudden this idea with the industrial tourism
Brainstorm.
just really took a good brainstorm. And so he did a great job of that. So it's exciting. It's been a long time coming. If you guys remember from the time we voted on this, and then COVID and tourism didn't happen for a couple years. And now here we are, and finally we have this going, and we're promoting not just tourism, but promoting our city, promoting our community to get people here, and even people that live here. You know, it's gonna be a great asset for that, people that don't do a lot of,
Building our brand
Activities here.
ambassadors is
Yes.
really important.
so anyway, I just want to recognize Renee
Thank you.
and Lou,
I-
and thank you guys for doing such a,
I did want to say also, one of the things I appreciate, and I think, you know, a lot of things we do are by intention, you know, having the meetings and having as many members of the advisory board as possible participate means it's not our plan, it's our plan. And there's a lot of ownership in that, and we appreciate their time, and we know your time is valuable, believe me. And also the support from the city to get this off the ground. But at the end of the day, you know, one of the things has always been like, this is not a separate identity. It doesn't have its own tax ID. This is operated by the chamber. We pay the bills separately, electronically from the DMO account, but, you know, it's a department at the chamber, and we want to make sure that this runs as efficiently and effectively as the rest of our office does. And we also want to make sure every stakeholder feels they're getting value out of it. And at the end of the day, we want to see its success and everyone being like, yay, go Casa Grande.
Just last round of questions. Anyone who have tourism-related questions, I can answer it right now. Just anything.
I have one. Can we have our publications back? We're putting
Oh, yeah,
them in
they're
our
right here.
reader file.
Just a comment.
Yeah.
No question on the tourism,
Yeah, go ahead.
but no, great job and welcome.
Oh,
You
thank
know,
you.
it's nice to have you here, and it's nice to have, you know, some fresh eyes looking at this, and so so thank you, and we're excited, and I think it was a great presentation, keeping us up to date, and it is exciting to see how far it's come. Mayor, I know this is something that you've worked on since the day you were mayor, and so I'm sure you're very happy, as we all are, because I think the council and the staff have supported this in the city, so it's exciting to see. But, you know, when you talk about building brands, but hopefully this will build, you know, pride too, the community pride, and bring some excitement when you're driving in Phoenix and you see, you know, something with Casa Grande. Hopefully the community will see that and get excited about the pride, you know, community pride. So thank you. Look forward to seeing the, you know, everything that comes before us.
Yeah, I'm gonna say thank you to the mayor. Mayor's been a really great support for me, and he gave me a lot of support and also inside knowledge. And just kind of remind me of, again, so another project we are working on is trying to bring in filming to Casa Grande. We had that history, you know, with John Wayne stayed in Francisco Grande over there doing his film. You know, we can restart that again, you know, now maybe next year with Hollywood's coming in and boosting our economic.
As long as you bring George Clooney back. We liked it when he was here.
We'll work on that.
And Lou, just thanks for all the hard work you've done.
Thank
You've done
you,
an
Renee.
amazing amount of work in the first really 30, 40 days of being here, so thank you.
Today is his 6th Monday.
All right, good job.
And-
Thank you, guys.
6-week anniversary.
Good job.
And Lou, you're going to experience your first dust storm in Casa
Yeah.
Grande tonight. So.
All the
Yeah,
phones
that's,
are
We do
going
have
up.
weather.
that was the warning that you were hearing, all the buzzing.
Yeah,
That's a dust storm.
yes.
I think he's looking forward to the.
Welcome to
cold weather.
Arizona.
Oh, here's your publications.
Thank you.
Welcome to Arizona. Don't drive in it, by the way.
All right,
Thank you, Renee.
Okay. All right, we'll stand adjourned until 7 o'clock. We'll start the regular council meeting. Thank you, everyone.
I remember those days when Three Kings was being filmed too,
Yeah.
do you?
Yeah. Well, I
I was hanging out, just waiting to see George Clooney. And Dennis, well, Dennis, no, and
Most of
literally Dennis
10,000,
played
but it
with
was
him, basketball every day, so finally
876.
Dennis let me go.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's city council meeting for the city of Casa Grande,
He was here for the partnerships.
or Casa Grande, however you want to say it. Our first order, we'll call the meeting to order. Our next order of business is our invocation and our pledge of allegiance. Tonight, we have Pastor Paul Elgin from First Presbyterian Church of Casa Grande, and remain standing, and we'll do the pledge of allegiance. Thank you.
Good evening, City Council, Mr. Mayor. Please pray with me. Our gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this great city and nation that we have the honor to call home. Thank you for the blessings of 247 years as a nation. The Bible tells us, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. And in 2 Chronicles, we find that the Lord says, if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, forgive their sins, and heal the land. And only you, our God, through the power of your Spirit, can heal our land, that we would become one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I pray today for our leaders here in the City Council, for all city employees, for first responders, for all those who serve. May God bless them and guide them, giving them safety, wisdom, and justice. It's in the name of Christ that we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Mr. Lavender. All right, next item is our roll call. We do have a couple absent, and I will say that they both, one is actually came home today from quadruple bypass surgery. So amazing that he had surgery on Friday and he's home. So congratulations and Godspeed, Bob Huddleston. And also Anthony Edwards is getting a new knee, and he had that done today. So I'd entertain a motion to dismiss both.
Second?
All right, a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Please note the two excused absences, Gloria. And the rest of us are present. All right, minutes.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve the council regular meeting minutes of June 19th, the Arts and Humanities Commission regular meeting minutes of May 2nd, and accepting the Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting minutes of June 8th.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, minutes are approved. Claims against the city?
Mayor McFarland, I move to accept and pay the claims dated June 14th through 27th, 2023, and the payment of claims for June 28th through July 17th, 2023, as presented.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
I abstain, Mayor.
4 votes is enough? Okay.
Just barely.
We got by the skin of our teeth there. Okay. Next item is item E is the meeting agenda. Mr. Raines, are there any changes from council?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, we
Staff?
do not have any changes, but I do want to just point out for any of the individuals that are in the audience tonight that are here specifically for any of our fiscal year 24 budget items, that those items will be considered in a special meeting following the regular council agenda. So just making sure that everybody's aware of that if they don't see it on the
Yeah,
agenda.
there's another meeting after
That is
this meeting.
correct.
Okay. All right, any other changes? Anyone on council? Okay, seeing none, then I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting agenda as presented. Can we do both of them at the same time? Or do we have to do this one
No.
separate?
You're only approving the agenda for this meeting at this meeting.
This one doesn't need approval?
when we open that meeting.
You won't need it in the special meeting.
Okay.
But you can't do it in this meeting.
Okay, never mind.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Next item is our consent agenda item. These are all listed with an asterisk and are considered routine matters and will be enacted by one, it's easy for me to say, enacted by one motion and one roll call vote of the council. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or member of the public so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence of the agenda. Is there any item on here that council wants to remove for any reason? Anyone from the public? Okay, seeing none, then I'll entertain a motion, no, yeah.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second?
Motion and a second. Gloria, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, next is item H, which is our public comment section. This is when I'm going to open the floor to public comment.
Yes, sir.
You didn't need to fill out a public comment request, and we don't have any cards that anybody turned in. So, but you may, it's your opportunity to address the council. If there's anybody here who would like to say something, just a reminder, please keep your comments to 3 minutes. And as this is a non-agendized item, we cannot make comments. Anyone? Okay. All right, then I will close the public comment section and we'll move to item I, award of contracts, and I-1.
That is me, Mayor.
All right, Mackenzie.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Staff recommends that City Council approve this resolution and grant authorization for the acceptance of the agreement terms for the WIFA Clean Water State Revolving Fund loan. So if you guys recall, back in February, late February, we brought before council the debt authorization for the WIFA loan, and as promised, we're bringing before you the actual WIFA loan for consideration tonight. That original loan back then was, we were contemplating the possibility of having a larger scaled solar system that was going to be approximately up to $20 million. After further consideration, it was found that we reduced that to a 2.05 megawatt solar array, and the reduction from $20 million to roughly $8,103,235 with a 20-year loan term and an interest rate not to exceed 3.4%, which will be paid biannually. The final interest rate will be dependent on the market time of issuance, and so we're planning on, after, if this is approved tonight, for the closing to take place towards the end of the week, possibly on the 21st, and so that's when we'll have that interest rate locked in. The fiscal impact of this loan through WIFA will be financed with an interest rate not to exceed 3.4% over a 20-year period. The original loan amount as of closing is $8,103,235. We also were eligible for a forgivable principal amount of $1 million. So the intended repayment amount is actually $7.103 million. The loan term, again, is for 20 years, and the combined interest rate and fee rate is 3.4%, not to exceed 3.4%. The total number of payment periods within the loan term is set at 40 because it's going to be biannually over 20 years. And the 20-year total payments, assuming the maximum interest rate of 3.4%, we would be looking at roughly $9,891,505. And I just wanted to clarify, too, that the loan is going to be financed through the revenues of the water reclamation system, which will be utilized to repay the loan. And then the savings that we recover through the reduction in energy consumption is what will be used to kind of repay the general fund. So with that being said, the alternatives to this would be to not accept the loan for this project, and then we would have to find another way to make up that $8 million for the 2.05 megawatt solar array. So
And the WIFA loan's coming through the state, right?
correct.
And So do we know what the annual savings are on the power? At one point in time, you had a percentage of the
Oh, you're
power.
saying like for the facility?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so we're looking, I think, roughly estimated about like 43% of the energy consumption of that facility. Yeah.
So we'll cover 40% of the power to run the
Correct.
wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah.
Awesome. So there's a number calculated to that. Is there a value on that?
I do not have the value presently, but the total kilowatt hours is about 3.3 mil kilowatt hours per year annually, which is significant.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
And we are going to cover, if you're speaking about the total savings, that's going to be in the secondary portion, which is the contract through Verigy. What were you asking, Mayor, exactly, by chance, with the savings?
Yeah, just what the savings was going to be.
Yeah, so the 20-year total savings, and this is the updated numbers that we received from Verigy. So the 20-year savings with the grants, with the $1 million from WIFA, as well as the potential of some IRA grants, is $12,702,342. The 30-year total savings with grants is set at, and that's 30 years, 10 years after the expiration of the contract, is $23,046,752. So we're looking at roughly over the 30-year cumulative total surplus of about $12 million and $300,000.
So it's a good investment.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
We
That was
believe-
kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah, sorry, I knew that was
It's
on
all
the
right.
following part, so.
No, that's okay. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? All right. Thank you, Mackenzie.
Yeah, of course.
All right, seeing none, then I'll call for a resolution number, please, Gloria.
Resolution number 5554, a resolution of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Pinal County, Arizona, authorizing the execution and delivery of a loan agreement by the mayor of the city, approving a loan from the Water Infrastructure Finance Authority of Arizona, authorizing the taking of all other actions necessary to the consummation of the transaction contemplated by this resolution and declaring an emergency.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve Resolution 5554 as presented.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember McBride?
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons?
Yes.
Councilmember Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender?
Yes.
Mayor McFarland?
Yes. All right, next we'll move to I-2. So ordinance 3378.
Yep, so it's me again. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Staff recommends that Mayor and City Council approve this ordinance and grant authorization for the city manager to enter into a guaranteed energy services agreement with Urban Energy Solutions, DBA Verigy. And so, again, this is kind of goes off as the secondary component to the approval of the WIFA loan that we just passed. The debt authorization request back in February was for an amount, as I stated, not to exceed 20 million. We reduced that amount to the 8.103 million. It's going to be for the construction of a solar array and solar parking canopy, a gated security fencing, and compacted aggregate course access road and parking structure platform, which will also include about 2 inches of asphalt. This contract, if initiated, will result in Verigy being responsible for the complete system design, engineering, permitting, procurement, and construction of the solar array and accompanying infrastructure. Upon system completion, there will also be an ongoing operations and maintenance agreement that we will have to coordinate. It's going to be guaranteed within that 2 years, but after that time frame, we will have to renegotiate with them for an ongoing operation and maintenance agreement. This contract also includes a 20-year energy savings guarantee over the term of the contract to be equal or greater than $6,168,556, with annual savings not to be less than $218,575 a year. And so we do believe that based on this and the savings from the IRA grant and the return on the WIFA loan, the $1 million forgivable principal, that it's going to create a cost-neutral position for the city of Casa Grande. And as we found with some of our other solar structures, like as you can see around the city with our parking structures here and at the public safety buildings, it's pretty common that the estimates of how much we're going to save is actually relatively conservative, and you usually save actually an excess amount that you're collecting, more than that 218,000. That's just the guaranteed amount that they're going to consider within the agreement. And so the fiscal impact of this project is $8,103,235. The project will be financed through WIFA as a loan with an interest rate not to exceed 3.4%. And then below is a breakdown of the fiscal impact over the course of the loan. The 20-year total payments, again, assuming that we don't pay down the loan and we're paying the full interest amount, is $9,891,505. The guaranteed savings over 20 years, again, based on the contract, is that $6,168,556. The estimated 30-year total cumulative savings is $23,046,752, and the 30-year cumulative surplus is $12,364,620. And if you're wondering why those numbers might differ from what's in the actual RCA, it's because we got updated numbers from Verigy when I met with them last week. So with that being said, as I stated, the city also expects that some of these grants may be available to help offset the project through the roughly $3.3 million in IRA funds and then the $1 million in forgivable principal. So we believe it's going to produce a cost-neutral approach for the city and probably save us more money than what's expected. So the kind of alternatives to this would be to reject the installation of the solar at the water reclamation facility or modify the scope of the project. And I also know that Dick and Ed are also here representing Verigy, so if you have any additional questions about the project, feel free to ask us. And if you recall back from the meeting in February when they presented it during the study session more about what the project was going to be about. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? All right. Thank you, Mackenzie.
Yeah.
All right, seeing no questions, then I will call for an ordinance number, please, Gloria.
Ordinance number 3378, an ordinance of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, authorizing a guaranteed energy savings agreement with Urban Energy Solutions, LLC, DBA Verigy, LLC, and authorizing the execution of a contract.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve ordinance number 3378 as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, we'll move to item I3. This is ordinance number 3379. Kevin, is this one yours?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Staff recommends that the mayor and city council authorize the city manager to enter into a construction manager at risk contract with Allison Mills Contracting LLC to construct the half roadway construction of Clayton Roads and Ethington Roads for a guaranteed maximum price not to exceed $7,499,435. We did go out for a solicitation for the CMAR contractor, had 3 submittals, and through our selection process, we chose Allison Mills as the contractor that we thought could perform the best for us. Since choosing them, they have been working without a contract with our design engineer to help us get the costs down below the budget amount so that we can complete this project. If you've been out into the industrial area, specifically on Ethington and Burris Roads, that area is under construction with a lot of projects, and you can definitely see the need for those roadway improvements. The city, with an agreement with the county, did go out and do pre-roadway improvements where we chip sealed those roads out there so that the contractors that are currently working on their facilities do have adequate access. This will just highlight the future roadway improvements, the half-road improvements on the north side of Clayton and the east side of Ethington. We did budget $7.5 million for this project in this year's budget, so with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Does that include the sidewalk improvements too?
The sidewalk and street lights are going to be the responsibility of the developers in that area. So that was excluded from our contract.
Okay. And they know that? Okay. We're going to wait, though, till the sewer line gets laid, aren't we, before we do this?
There is a lot of coordination that needs to happen. As a matter of fact, we're still working on acquiring the right-of-way so that we can get in there and do the construction. We contemplated delaying this, but after talking with the contractor, they'd like to get this under contract. So timing is still up in the air, but we'll work with them to coordinate everything with water lines, sewer lines, and any other utility work that needs to be done out there.
Because I know we've laid some sewer lines underneath common ground or right-of-way, but like sidewalk right-of-way.
Yeah, we're not doing sewer lines on those specific roadways. The developers need to put sewer lines in, and they'll be coordinating with our contractor out there to make sure everything flows seamlessly.
Okay. I'm sure you got it under control. I just was curious. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Lisa?
Well, just know there's so much activity going out there, so it's exciting, and it's neat to see a local contractor too. And so is someone here from Ellison Mills? I can't really.
I don't believe
No,
so.
see
not here.
anybody.
But it's just, I'm happy to see that they submitted a competitive bid for you all to look at and evaluate. And obviously, they have a great track record and are local, so I'm happy to see that, especially there's so much growth out there, and so it's exciting times for sure.
Well, and just a note, in some of our previous solicitations, we've had, 7 to 10 groups submitting, and we only had 3 this time, so you can see that the market is really becoming more competitive, so we don't have as many people able to look at our projects, so we're fortunate to have the ones we do, and the 3 were all qualified, but Ellison Mills, definitely showed us through their submittals that they were the ones that we wanted to move forward with.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Any other comments or questions? Council? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain an ordinance number, please, Gloria.
Ordinance number 3379, an ordinance of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, accepting the proposal from Ellison Mills Construction LLC to provide construction manager at-risk services for the construction of the half roadway improvements for Clayton Road and Ethington Road, authorizing expenditure of public funds and authorizing the execution of a contract.
Mayor
Thanks.
McFarland, I move approval of ordinance number 3379 as presented.
Second?
Sorry.
All right, a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, we'll move to item K. This is other ordinances and resolutions for council action. We'll start with item K1, consider approval of resolution number 5555.
Good evening, Council, or good evening, Mayor and Council. This is, what I'm going to present is the consolidated fees for FY 23-24. Since 2005, the council has annually adopted the consolidated fee and rate schedule that encompasses all departments and government functions. This schedule undergoes review and potential amendments by relevant departments during the project process. Although the fees and rate schedules operate outside the Casa Grande Municipal Code, it is incorporated by the references. Before council considerations, the consolidated fees were posted on the city's website for more than 60 days in compliance with the Arizona Revised Statute of 9.499.15. A notice of intent regarding the consolidated fees was also posted to the city's website and social media platforms at least 15 days prior to the adoption of the FY 23-24 consolidated fee schedule. Fees and rate recommendations are determined based on the cost recovery targets and actual cost service provisions of the market comparison. All proposed adjustments aim to cover the cost providing the services while adhering to each program's cost recovery philosophy. Certain fees, such as dog licenses, are intentionally set low level to facilitate compliance, while others, like adult recreation fees, strive to recover 100% of the cost. Several departments and divisions, including community services, police, animal control, planning and development, wastewater, sanitation, and streets, have made adjustments to their fees. Additionally, a uniform photocopy fee has been standardized across all departments for the charge of services. While not explicitly mentioned in the fee schedule, the city's intention is to generally not include sales tax or other government pass-through fees as part of the adoption fees, except with specifically stated and attached schedule. Therefore, unless otherwise specified, the adopted fees do not encompass taxes or government fees. The attached fee schedule represented the final consolidated fee schedule for the FY 23-24 fiscal year. Furthermore, the proposed resolution grants explicit authority to the city manager to temporarily reduce under specific circumstances, authorizes the city to implement promotional and marketing rates. Thank you.
Any questions? Matt?
I just got a couple comments looking through a lot of these fees. A lot of them went down, actually.
Yes.
So that's very nice to see, and the other ones are, just recovering costs for the most part, it seems. And I want to thank staff, and I know my fellow council members and I heard from some people, especially about food truck permits and stuff, and I want to thank you guys for streamlining that process and making sure that we got that included in there. So I saw that, and thank you. But yeah, looks pretty good, and again, most of them went down, so thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All right. Thank you. Seeing no more comments, then I will call for a resolution number, please, Gloria.
Resolution number 5555. A resolution of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, declaring as public record and adopting that certain document filed with the city clerk and entitled FY 2023 through 2024 Consolidated Fee Schedule, effective August 1st, 2023, authorizing the city manager to provide for the reduction of rates and establishing an effective date.
Mayor McFarland, I move approval of resolution number 5555 as presented.
Second.
All right, a motion and a second. Can I please get a roll call vote, Gloria?
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, we'll move to item K2. This is a resolution 5556. Community Services Director.
Hello,
Danny?
good evening, Mayor McFarland, Mayor Pro Tem Lavender, and members of the council. Staff is recommending the mayor and council approve and adopt the 2023 Community Services Strategic Master Plan. As you know, we've been working on this for about a year and a half now through lots of public meetings, study sessions. As you see on the attached documents, there's a lot of pages of this plan going into place. So that work is completed, but the work implementing hopefully in the next 10 to 15 years, we'll be working on that. The final presentation was completed on June 22nd with the Community Services Advisory Board. At that time, they did recommend that they forward this to the council for adoption. And no, this does not obligate the city to construct any of the items in here. It's just a plan at this point. I'd like to turn it over, and we've worked with Pros Consulting and Mike Schmetz for quite a while. We've talked many times and met many times, so I'd like to turn him over here because he has a couple of additions, some changes that has been implemented to this plan.
Thank you, Daniel. Mayor, Council, thanks much for the opportunity to hopefully, sadly, maybe present to you the last time regarding this master plan. Just very quickly, as Daniel said, a couple of just quick review items, as well as then really diving into some of the concept plan, the update on the capital improvement cost estimating, and then the implementation strategy. So just as a reminder, the level of service, we're more or less keeping your level of service the same. The future overall amount of park acreage needed is 659 acres. However, the city's percentage of that is about 279 acres. The reason being is that many of the neighborhood parks are going to be constructed through the ongoing development that occurs in your community. So keeping in mind, the 279 is really based on projected 2037 population, which is around 100,000. In terms of land acquisition, you can kind of see that we're really not looking for you to acquire additional land. What we are looking for you to do is to develop out, as long as your population continues to grow at the rate that it's growing, to develop the land that you already have available to you. So we're not looking at acquiring additional land. It's really about developing unplanned acreage that you already have. Another major component of this was obviously the connectivity analysis. This ties back to the need for trails and connectivity in your community as expressed through the needs assessment phase. As we indicated many times, this is based on the existing trails plan that you have. What is shown here on the screen, again, is the priority trails from the existing plan. And then as Kimberly Horn went through and updated and basically said, how can we make your trails plan better? Where are there opportunities to create better connectivity? This in red here is kind of what you end up seeing in terms of improving and increasing connectivity. So again, this is just a quick snapshot and a reminder that this was a major task associated with the project. And again, it ties back to community need. So one of the things that we heard off of the conversations related to the connectivity analysis was this desire to really fully develop the Santa Cruz Wash linear park. And so why we're here in July and maybe not a couple of months ago is we were directed by city administration to conduct a concept plan or to do a concept plan for you to really make the Santa Cruz Wash a priority project in the master plan, as well as kind of create some visuals for you. So just a quick reminder, what you see and what you'll end up seeing is not what will happen. It's just what could happen. It gives you a representation of what is very possible in particular with this. So this is a very blocky way of kind of saying where is the Santa Cruz Wash, and as you can see in the bottom right corner, all of those dots kind of give you an indication of all the connectivity associated with the Santa Cruz Wash. This is what it looks like today for the most part. It is literally a wash in the desert and not developed at all. What we can do though is create a lot of different connectivity. So you have a western segment from North Thornton to North Treckle. You have an eastern segment then from North Treckle to Hennis Road. Then you end up with another connection between North Thornton to North Pinal Avenue. And then finally North Pinal Avenue back to North Treckle. And then North Treckle to Pert. So there are a lot of different possibilities, and it was really important as we went through this project to really start to understand, to break this up into phases. It doesn't make sense to try and do it all at once. Again, it's a matter of just creating an improved connectivity. The difference between what I would call a trail and what you call a linear park is really simply a matter of a trail is a trail, but a linear park has different activity nodes along it. It has different trailheads. It has restrooms. It could have exercise stations. It certainly is much more beautified than a typical trail. So when you think about the cost of doing this, obviously it's much more expensive than just putting, DG out there and creating a trail or even paving it over. These are some of the examples of what a linear park really could look like in the future. As noted, it feels and looks very different than just a trail system. It has a lot of activity along it. It's very much beautified. It could have public art, restrooms, and different activity nodes along the way. So again, just an understanding that this is something that was an addition last minute that we wanted to incorporate based on your expressed desire to make Santa Cruz Wash Linear Park a priority project going forward. So the cost estimating for capital improvements, obviously by doing this concept plan, it has increased the cost estimates because we really start to understand what this looks like. So again, this is 15 plus years out. Granted, yes, it's 300 million, but I'll bring you back. Only the next 5 years is about 9% of this grand total. And what does that look like? So it's really about 27 million over the next 5 years. I know that's still a lot of money, but again, the vast majority of it is in two buckets. One is the expansion of your trail system, which is reflective and responsive of your community's desire and needs. And number two is parks, which is really about reinvesting in your park system. It's not about expanding it right now. It's about taking care of what you already have. Again, was another priority associated with your community needs assessment and their desires coming out of this plan. So we've really tried to be responsive to you all. We've tried to be responsive to the community and say, if we're going to create a robust cost estimating plan for capital improvements, where are you going to put the money? And again, it's reflective of your community's values. So strategic implementation, 6 really quick bullet points. Level of service provision. Again, this is just about continuing to maintain your current level of service of park acres per population. This is, again, going to be very much driven by development agreements, potentially with school district partnerships. But again, it's really predicated on growth. If growth slows, park development slows. If growth speeds up, park development will speed up, and the need for it will speed up. Trails, obviously establishing connectivity, parkland improvements. Basically, as you improve your park system, use the community survey to guide the elements that are in your park system, as well as the level of service associated with it. Recreation programming, this is one of those things that it evolves. It needs to continue to evolve. In some cases, the only way the programming can evolve is as your park system improves. People are not going to expect high-quality programs in spaces and places that aren't designed for them, and/or spaces and places that aren't taken care of. Operations, it really needs to grow the staff as the park and recreation system expands. Otherwise, you'll just simply get to a point where you have a rubber band, you pull it as far as you possibly can, and you know what happens if you pull it a little bit further. It'll just break. So you want to make sure you have some flexibility and grow the park's staff as the system expands. And then, of course, the funding of it all. Adequate funding to support improvements. Again, key drivers, take care of what you already have. Reinvest in your existing system. Build out your trail system. Really make a robust effort to take that trails master plan, the connectivity analysis of Santa Cruz Wash, and make that a priority going forward. So at this point, I'll take any questions, concerns, comments, suggestions you may have. Yes, sir.
Can you go back to the slide, please, on the 1 to 5 year plan? So as I understand this slide, we want to spend $14 million on upgrading and new trails, am I correct?
Correct.
And $8 million on existing parks that are already there, correct?
Correct. It's about life cycle replacement of amenities.
So this past year, we had to turn away 10 T-ball teams, and I don't see addressing that at all in any of these plans. Is that accurate?
No, that is accurate over the next 5 years, but I think one of the things that we really are going to pull back on is not about, it's probably easier to work through a partnership with your ISD to improve or work through partnerships associated with their athletic fields as opposed to you building new ones. So we feel like the park acreage as well as the amenities such as athletic fields are really tied to right now in the short term your ability to leverage partnerships with existing facilities associated with taxpayer-funded school district fields.
Which would require a partnership to install lights and things like that, so they were usable for these leagues, correct?
Correct. That is not something, again, I think this did come up at the last time. This is not something that was a part of our scope to evaluate, was evaluating school fields and so on and so forth as part of your inventory. It's certainly something that we could do, but it was not a part of the scope, and so we did not dive into that very level of specificity in terms of what those improvements could be and then what those costs associated with it would be.
I think there's some opportunities to work with, like the elementary school, there's some fields
Yes,
that
and
are available.
The opportunities are there, absolutely, if we can get together and do them. It just,
May-
to me,
may-
as I look at this, I hear trails are our priority, not that. Maybe I'm misreading this.
Trails absolutely are your number one priority across your community. in
That's out
almost
of
every age group.
the surveys that you completed, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mayor Pro Tem Lavender, we have actually met with the school district, the elementary school district, so we actually are working on the fields over by Sorrow Middle School over there, those fields that don't have lights now, but we've met with the facilities person there, so we have some plans in place, and we've already spoken to Little League about using those fields, at least on Saturdays in the short term, until we can get some lights there. Now, that would just be T-ball and coach pitch fields there, there's 4 of them there, though. We met there with our facilities superintendent, or park superintendent, Mike Edwards, who we figured out a way that we can do that during the season at least, to help with the T-ball teams during the Little League seasons. So we have met with everybody involved, and we believe we can do it. We just do have to come up with the agreement itself on making that happen, so.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any other questions or comments? I do have one, Larry. Will we get a copy of this? A hard copy?
It'll likely be an electronic copy, Mr. Mayor, but we can get it to you, yes.
Okay. The final approved copy? Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
All right, then I'll call for a resolution number, please, Gloria.
Resolution number 5556, a resolution of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, approving and adopting the 2023 Community Service Master Plan.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve resolution number 5556 as presented.
Second?
All right, a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, we'll move into our public hearings, public meetings. We'll start with the first item, which is public hearing L1.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Staff recommends holding a combined hearing on both the city's proposed budget and tax levy and the truth in taxation. The only actions that will be taken related to the tax levy tonight will be 1, to hold the public hearing, and 2, consider the resolution of intent to levy the proposed property tax on or after July 31st as required by the truth in taxation statute. Council, through a separate action at the special meeting following the regular meeting, will be asked to adopt the final budget for the city. On May 15th, Mayor and Council approved the tentative budget amounting in the amount of $274,329,337. In compliance with all statutory requirements, the tentative budget was published twice in the local newspaper, and a public hearing on the budget and tax levy, the truth in taxation, was conducted on June 5th. However, it was discovered that the notice published in the paper regarding the truth in taxation requirements was placed in the wrong section. Consequently, the process had to be restarted to ensure compliance with all statutory obligations, leading to additional public hearing held tonight. During this hearing, the council will not vote on the actual tax levy, but will consider the item later on or after July 31st. The final budget documents encompass all information presented to the council. Thus far, no proposed changes to the budget from the May 15th meeting and the published and discussed materials from June 5th meeting. Following tonight's public hearing, On the budget and the proposed primary and secondary tax levy, the council will be requested to approve the final budget and consider a resolution related to the statutory requirements of the truth in taxation. As proposed and advertised, the primary property tax levy will remain unchanged from FY23 at .9643 per 100 assessed value. The secondary tax rate established and ensures sufficient funds for bond debt payments approved by voters will be set at .4197. The council will recall that this secondary rate represents an increase of .0204 from the previous year. Although the primary property tax rate is not being raised compared to the prior year, the city was obligated to take certain steps to outline the state statute concerning truth in taxation. Due to the total amount expected to be raised by the primary property taxation, excluding new construction, exceeding the previous fiscal year amount by $327,164. Accordingly, the city published the Truth in Taxation hearing, noticed in the Casa Grande Dispatch on 2 separate dates, June 29th and July 8th. A Truth in Taxation press release was also issued on June 12th, and the notice of the Truth in Taxation calculations are attached for reference. The proposed total primary property tax levy for the 2023-24 fiscal year is $4,938,900, with a proposed primary property tax rate of .9643. This means that the proposed primary property tax levy for $100,000 valued will be in the amount of $96.43. The same rate and tax as in the previous fiscal year on the same home valuation. However, due to anticipated increased assessed valuations, maintaining the rate is expected to raise the total amount excluding new construction by $327,164. If the city had maintained its existing total levy amount rather than the rate, the expected primary property tax levy on a $100,000 valued home would have been $89.80. This represents $6.63 increased on the home value that is resulting in the net percentage of 7.39. Thank you.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
All right. This is a public hearing. Does council have any questions of staff? All right, since this is a public hearing, we'll open the hearing to the public. This is on item L1. Is there anybody here from the public who would like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, then I'll close the public hearing and I will call for a resolution. Please, Gloria.
Resolution number 5557, a resolution of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, relating to the truth in taxation for fiscal year 2023 through 2024.
Mayor McFarland, I move approval of resolution number 5557 as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote on item L1?
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, we'll move to item L2, another public hearing. This is on resolution 5273.22. Joe Horn, is this you or?
This is me.
All right.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Staff is requesting a minor amendment to the Casa Grande 2030 General Plan to change the roadway classification for Thornton Road from a minor arterial to a major collector for those portions of said roadway north of Courtson Road and south of McCartney Road. You can see the map in our general plan. This is the section that we're speaking of, highlighted in the center of your screen. We'll get a little more detail in it here. You can see it runs from Courtson up to McCartney. And again, further detail, you see it terminates at Dave White Golf Course, north of Courtson. It also terminates into the Greens neighborhood south of Rodeo. And then you can see on the far right, the airport with the future expansion of that runway will also terminate that road. So the minor arterial is 110 feet. We have two major collectors that are 80 feet in right of way, so we can configure it in different ways depending on the uses that go in. In regards to the overview and review criteria, the amendment is to ensure that the city is coordinating the transportation network to meet the projected traffic volumes associated with any existing and proposed development in the area. It's also good practice to ensure we are not under or over designing or constructing the transportation network. The reasons for this request is, one is carrying capacity. Staff finds that the carrying capacity of a major collector is adequate to handle the anticipated traffic volumes in this area. Driveway spacing is the second one. Major collector roadways are less restrictive regarding driveway spacing and can be beneficial to development proposed for the area. The third one is results in more developable land. And the fourth is reduces roadway construction and maintenance cost. Staff has confirmed that the proposed amendment does meet all the review criteria of the 2030 general plan. In regards to public notification, we did meet or exceed all notification efforts. Notice was published in the Casa Grande Dispatch, and we did talk to Pinal County and make sure that he reviewed the proposed changes and had no concerns, because there are portions of this road that are the county's impacted by. In conclusion, Planning Commission on a 5-0 vote recommend the City Council approve the minor general plan amendment to reclassify Thornton Road from Corson Road to McCartney Road from a minor arterial to a major collector. Can I answer any questions?
Any questions? All right, this is a public hearing, so I will open item L2 to the public at this point in time. Is there anyone here who would like to comment on this item? It is item number 5273.22. Okay, seeing nobody jump up, then I'm going to close the public hearing and I'll call for a resolution, please. Gloria.
Resolution number 5273.22, a resolution of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, adopting a minor amendment to the City of Casa Grande General Plan 2030 as adopted by resolution number 5273 and as previously amended by changing the roadway use designation from minor arterial to major collector for Thornton Road, located at the north of Corson Road and south of McCartney Road, Casa Grande, Arizona.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve resolution number 5273.22 as presented.
Second.
We're going to have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, next on the agenda is item L3, another public hearing. This is to consider ordinance number 1178.191.3.
Thank you, Mayor. Sun Village Villago is requesting a major amendment to a planned area development to create an all-ages manufactured home park for 287 acres, generally located south of McCartney between Falldale Road and Pinal Avenue. You can see it highlighted on the map on the screen. The purpose of this request is to amend the existing Villago Village Planned Area Development Guide to create 1,162-unit, all-age manufactured home park on 287 acres. The commercial, which is 16.3 acres, and the multifamily, which represents 11 acres of the Villago Village Planned Area Development portions of the existing PAD are to remain as is. This proposal will be similar to other manufactured home parks in the city where the residents will own the home and the applicant leases the land spaces. The existing PAD currently allows development similar to the city's R1, R1A, R2, R3, and B2 use classifications. The original PAD consists of 322 acres of land with a mix of single-family residential, multifamily residential, and commercial uses, with a total of 1,022 single-family lots. This proposal will just amend the 287 acres of the property, leaving the multifamily and commercial areas as is. You can see this is the existing PAD, the commercial areas out on Pinal. There's a multifamily just below that hasn't been developed, and then the single family all ran behind it. The proposed is to, again, leave the commercial as is, the multifamily as is, and create a manufactured home park for the rest of the single family area. In looking at the review criteria, we cover the following criteria, and I'll cover them all tonight. First is the relationship of the plan elements to conditions both on and off the property. The proposal is not anticipated to have an adverse impact with respect to land use. It abuts the Colonial Del Sol neighborhood to the south that has a mixture of land uses and residential development types, including existing manufactured homes, single-family stick-built homes, and commercial uses. Staff believes this will be a compatible project and may enhance the surrounding area by providing additional access points for Colonial Del Sol and by introducing new housing product on the adjacent land. In regards to conformance with the city's general plan, the proposed area of change in this proposal is located in the neighborhood's general plan land use category. The PAD land use zoning is appropriate zone for the neighborhood's land use category. The neighborhood's category allows for density up to 4.5 dwelling units per acre. The applicant is proposing to develop 1,162 dwelling units on 270 acres of the site with a density of 4.05. Accordingly, staff finds the development to be in compliance with the general plan density requirements. And next is the adequacy of the plan with respect to land use. The proposed plan is to change this area for traditional single-family homes to manufactured homes is primarily due to the fact that the site does not have certificate of assured water supply or cause. Not having cause severely limits the development potential of this site, as there is not a way to subdivide the land. With this being the case, the proposed land use is appropriate for the site. And the last one we'll cover is the adequacy of the plan with respect to land use and traffic circulation. Currently, Colonial Del Sol has one access point into and out of the neighborhood out onto Pinal Avenue. With the construction of this site, they'll add Falldale, Thornton, and Tallyho. Most importantly, Thornton and Tallyho will provide north-south access into Colonial Del Sol. Two other additional areas that Colonial Del Sol does connect into will not be utilized to make sure the project stays cohesive. So in conclusion, it ends up being 5 new access points into the Colonial Del Sol neighborhood, helping any emergency response to that area and also alleviate traffic concerns by distributing it to different areas. In regards to public notification, we met or exceeded all timelines and requirements set out by the city code. We did not receive any inquiries or comments on this. In conclusion, Planning Commission on a 4-1 vote recommends City Council approve a major amendment to an improved PAD with the following conditions. The first condition is our typical right-of-way condition, and the second condition is that a comprehensive sign plan will be required to be approved by the Planning Commission prior to development. Any questions?
Joe, I do have a question. So the part that's not included, that's apartments? Because the other pieces, those other pads, other than maybe a couple of them, are being developed now, right?
Yeah, the Starbucks going in there, Filiberto's going in there.
The car wash.
Car wash just opened. There is a little bit more area to do some commercial development up on McCartney.
And some on
also
Pinal still, too?
Excuse me?
Is there a couple on Pinal, too?
Yeah, most of them are, I think,
they're all
or
done.
might be full on the Pinal.
Okay.
There might be one more that they can access, but I think they might all be full now.
And they're not talking about developing any of this right now?
No, so the only portion that this applicant is purchasing is behind the multifamily
Okay, so they're only
and
purchasing
commercial.
this piece? Okay.
Just the single family, 287 acres is
Okay.
being amended.
All right. Matt?
A couple questions about the roads like Thornton and Tally Ho and Falldale. So most of these developments and the manufactured home and this company are gated. Is this going to be gated still?
I believe so, yes. So
I mean, I
they'll
know
do
that's
it in
at the
two
site plan
portions,
thing,
and,
right?
and they develop it in phases.
Okay.
So you see between Thornton and Tally Ho will be one entire complex, and then the other portion between Thornton and Falldale will be kind of a I don't know if a sister property is the right way to say it, but it'll all be a cohesive development, but they'll have different access points.
And I know that the traffic study will come later on in the process, but obviously McCartney's it's built out there pretty much. It's not used right now.
So it kind of ends right at the commercial
Yeah.
site right now, so they'll be responsible, as they develop out that way, they'll be responsible
They'll be
for
doing
that.
McCartney.
They'll also be responsible for Thornton going north, which is why you saw that accompanying general plan amendment and
So
Falldale.
that Thornton's going to be a pretty big road.
Excuse me?
Thornton will be a
80
pretty
feet,
big
yeah.
road.
80 feet wide, up to 4 lanes of traffic.
And then McCartney, will they've built out the whole width of it, not just their half?
Just their half they would be responsible for, and then as it develops on the northern portion, whoever develops the north portion would be responsible for the second.
But the north portion, I think, is a state trust land, isn't it?
It is, but to clarify, they
Which
would
means
have to
they won't
build
develop anything.
enough to provide two-way traffic.
Right. That was my point, yes.
Mhm.
Won't be fully developed. But the neat thing about this is we have the manufactured home community with some stick built there that's in the Colonial del Sol, and then we have the buffer on Pinal. So this is a good area to develop this sort of thing, especially with no cause in that area. So I'm glad this is how it should be. I like it. And they run pretty nice developments. I know in town they have a couple others.
Correct.
So,
Plum Creek to
Yep.
be one of them.
so this is a good place for it.
Yeah. And then there'll be design, when they move to P and Z, there'll be some design standards that they'll bring forward.
Yeah, they'll go through a major site plan process.
Okay.
There's, some of the design was provided, and samples were provided in the PAD document that was in the RCA. So there are examples of what kind of homes there will be out there.
Did they
but,
include any ground set comments or anything like that?
I'm not 100% sure. They do have a representative here tonight that might be able to answer that. So.
That was my question.
Yeah. Is there a representative here? Can they answer? Yes. Come on. Okay. Okay with, or does that include?
Excuse
Not
me?
being ground set.
We'll have to do that at the site plan, right?
Okay.
And then
You heard him, Joe. You heard
Okay,
him.
I got it. It'll be in the minutes.
Okay, all right, good.
One other comment, Mayor, is that I get a lot of questions about people on this side of town asking about more amenities, more businesses, more services on that side. And this is a way to do it by having more population in that area. That's going to bring those businesses there to have more restaurants, more activities, more services in that area. So this is another benefit to having this on the north side of town.
Okay. Any other comments from council? Yeah, Lisa?
Well, I mean, I'm just torn a little bit, and it probably doesn't surprise many of you, because I know the project up the street here, I had some concerns, but I do appreciate how they're keeping the mixed use as far as over here on Pinal, so there is a buffer there. This is such a massive manufactured home development, so my concern is what we've talked about in the past, as far as where are we going? I mean, is this what we want to be known for? Is this what we want? I understand the location of this development. I do appreciate how it was designed and everything, but I want to know if this is, and of course I understand our issue with the cause, the certificates, and that's why we have to go towards projects like this. I totally understand the need for housing, everything, but what I want to know it more is what are we as a city, what is our vision? I mean, is this what we're going to continue to do? Just bring in massive manufactured home developments, and especially on our major arterial roads. So, again, I think this project compared to the one up the street on Hopi, that's a little bit different because that was city property, and we could have kind of done what we wanted with that land, and so I had some issues with that. I, of course, had, several issues, but I think this one is a little bit more compatible, but I really want to see, and I've talked to Larry about this, what are we going to do? Are we going to just continue to just open the floodgates and say, okay, this is all we can do because we don't have certificates? Is this the vision that we want? Is this who we want to become? Can we put our foot down and say, you know what, no, we have enough? What is the percentage of manufactured homes? Again, I love the idea of having these projects infill in certain areas of our community, because I do believe there is a need for these projects in the community. So and of course, I'm looking forward to hearing the representative, but if this moves forward tonight, I really hope that we can commit as a council to have that study, to have that visioning process to see, where are we going to go with this? Because if this is approved, an 1,100 unit manufactured home facility, is that just now everyone's ready to come to Casa Grande and build all these manufactured homes, which I again, diverse housing is important, but there is a point, I don't want to become some of the other communities in the state of Arizona, and if that's our vision, then that's what we need to know. Is that really what we are going to become and what we have to become because of the situation we are in with our certificates? So it's something, Larry, I would really like to see in the near future. And if it passes tonight, I really hope, because the community recognizes this, and they, I mean, this is huge. And I hope when we go, further along, if it goes through in the site plan process, if you're saying it's state land on the other side, it's not going to develop. I hope there's going to be some really nice landscaping, a wall, whatever it is, so you're not driving in and see this huge,
These are the same people who own Palm Creek.
I understand it is. But Palm Creek is a, adult, it's different, and same with the other development, Spanish Trails. So this is all age, so it is going to be a little bit different. But they do have a good reputation. I think Sun Properties has been around a long time. They're community partners. So of course, that's a benefit too, that they're not just some random company that's coming in.
And you have this.
I agree that, yes. No, and again, there's some great.
This is a big improvement to
It
this.
It is, yeah. So, and again, love the fact that we're going to keep the commercial and the multifamily on the Pinal side, but it's so massive, and when I visualize, I just see all up and down Pinal. Is that what we're going to become? All up and down Pinal? Because we have another 500 unit project up the street that we as a city could have controlled because it was our property. So anyway, so I really would like to hear what the representative has to say, and I'm hoping that we can, as we move forward, try to put together something.
We'll open the public hearing and
Yes.
you can make comments then.
Mm-hmm.
Donna?
Just a couple quick comments. I agree with Lisa. I pause on the amount of homes that are going to be in here and what, that area does need to be improved. I know Colonia del Sol, gets a bad rap. Many times it's county, it's not city. One of the concerns that I had is when you were talking about the entrances, if it's a gated community, I'm kind of confused on that because, quite frankly, I think that, some folks that may want to purchase here might have some concerns thinking about Colonia del Sol having access in and out. So I guess the clarification, the access point, is it just for like emergency vehicles only, or those gates are going to be open during the day to everyone? Does that make sense? No?
Yeah, it does. But you can see on the map here, like so the access points are Pinal Avenue, and then you'll have one at Tally Ho. There's you can see Tally Ho Drive goes through Colonial del Sol, and then will continue north. The project will be on its west side, and then you'll see Thornton. So in between Tally Ho and Thornton, there will be one portion of the project that will be walled and landscaped and gated, and then the Falldale side will also be a separate gated side of that. So the north-south connections are still into Colonial del Sol, but not into this particular project.
Thank you.
I want to say one more thing.
Go ahead.
Lisa, thank you. And I do agree with what you said, is I'd like to see a breakdown of the mix of housing. But like you said, I think, and I was getting at, is this is a much better place than some other ones that we've seen. And it's got that buffer against Pinal. So I would like to see that as well, because that is something that we've talked about with our planning department, is having that mix of housing and make sure we're staying with that, because we don't want to turn into one of those communities that, like we see on the east side of, the valley, which is a lot of mobile homes, so manufactured homes, excuse me. So, thank you.
Well, and I think the point here too on this development versus even some of the other manufactured homes is that the people own the lots. And so, a large percentage of that investment is the land, where these is not. So they're buying the home at a great value, but then they're actually, renting on an ongoing basis. So, who's to say that rent isn't going to continue, to raise throughout the years, and when will it, it's attainable, not affordable housing, it's attainable now, but, it's really up to the owner, on what that lease is going to be. So that concerns me too. But, of course, I understand why, they're doing it. So, and there's definitely a need. There's people that are gonna, this is gonna be their home, and one way they can purchase something, but then they're still leasing the land, and what is the cost to pick up and move that if someone wants to move it? And I would love for Justin, I think his name's Justin, to explain that, if someone did sell one of these, what happens, if they wanted to take it? What is the cost for someone to move this home that they bought somewhere else? So.
Yeah, but I also would tell you that I think actually the home value, the home cost is actually greater than the land. The land is the cheaper part of this.
Well, because it's a small piece of land, yeah.
Correct.
Right.
So, and if it's done right, if it's ground set, they're probably not going to go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to move them. These are not our grandparents' mobile home RVs that have wheels still on them. Okay, if they're ground set, they're on a foundation. They are built with 2x6 construction.
Mm-hmm.
They're as good as a stick-built home, and their quality is as good as some of the homes that we're building here in Casa Grande that are single-family homes. So I would recommend that if you really want to see how these homes are manufactured and what they're made out of and how they're made, that you could go up to Champion Homes up in Chandler and go take a tour of their facility. They make them right up in South Chandler. And since 1976, the manufactured homes have been required to be built at HUD standards. And HUD standards are the same standards that a stick-built house is built. So these are not Apache Junction RV parks, okay? That's not what this is. And there's a stigma to it. And I think you're stuck on the stigma. That's just my comment.
I'm not stuck on this stigma. I think if it was such a, appealing, product, why aren't they everywhere? I mean, why aren't they in all the cities and everyone, putting them? Obviously we have to because of our situation with the certificates of assured water, but, and again, it's a product, it's great, it is. And it's diversifying our housing products, I get that, but there is a difference. There is. It's I think they said the average is $140,000, $150,000 for a home. So there's obviously, you're getting what you pay for too, so, anyway.
Okay.
And I think the property is about 600 a month, is what the.
For the lease?
Something like
I
that.
think they did
Yeah,
say
it's
the
5 to
average
6.
600,
You can ask.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
right.
if I have him come up now, does he have more time?
Yeah, you certainly have the option to do that, to ask the applicant to come up
Okay.
prior to opening the public hearing for the other
Okay, well, let's do that to allow a little more time for him to speak. Otherwise, I have to keep you to 3 minutes. Don't take much more than that, though.
I'll try not to.
Okay.
Sweet, thank you so much. Peter Furlow, 7144 East Stetson Drive, on behalf of the applicant. A lot of what I was going to go over was discussed, so I'll try to keep it under 3 minutes, as you suggested, Mayor. Project team is Sun Communities, Sunrise Land, Atwell, and then Roselaw Group. As was discussed, 2 existing Sun Community properties in Arizona are Spanish Trails West and Palm Creek Resort and Residences. But they have 15 communities in Arizona, and Sun's portfolio is 97% occupied with current waiting list to speak to the occupancy rates. Another thing that was mentioned is HUD standards, and HUD actually released a report on the lifespan of these. And as was mentioned, very similar to single-family homes, it's about 35 to 50 years based on maintenance. These are some of Sun's rules and regulations, and a little bit more about Sun. They've been in business since 1975. They're not in the business of developing and then just selling. They still have some of the communities from their inception from 1975. And as you can see from their communities in Casa Grande, they're a very professional organization, and those rules up there, if you can see them on your computers, speak to that. For manufactured housing design, just so you can get an idea of what would be coming in, here's some exteriors, and as I said, they are going to be ground set. Here's some photos of interiors. This is the proposed site plan. As was mentioned by Councilmember Herman, retail, commercial usually follows rooftops, so we really do believe this is the perfect location for this site. It kind of masks the Colonia del Sol to the south, activates it a bit, and then increases residents in the north end of town. And then again, we're leaving that east portion, which I guess according to Joe's presentation was 27. I guess my math was off by 11, but that's why I'm an attorney, not a mathematician, so sorry about that. For the phasing plan, it's in 6 phases, going from east to west. And I know Councilmember McBride, you had a question about how it's going to be accessed. And so if you think about it, it's going to be walled off. There's going to be a 6-foot wall, and it's basically east is one, and then west is the other side with Thornton right down the center, kind of cutting it off. So none of it's going to go interior to the project. It's going to be on either side of those walled-in areas. And again, this also speaks to if you see the lot count in each phase. I know it sounds like a large number, but each phase takes some time, and there's about 190 units being added per phase, so it is going to be implemented gradually, and we're going to be updating those streets as we go along and in accordance with the plan. For project economics, as was spoken to, site rent is around that 600 number. The total monthly payment is about $1,000 less than a traditional single-family home, and $25,000 is saved at closing. This is workforce and attainable housing, so one of the main comments when people are surveyed about what they like most about living in MH communities, it's found that affordability is one of the larger reasons. And if you have any questions about how that breaks down, feel free to ask. And then in terms of impact fees, at full build-out, this will contribute $8.4 million, which is calculated using the 2019 Casa Grande IIP and development fee report.
And then that chart shows how that's broken down. And then another thing I wanted to mention is just the commitment to the community. It's not forced, but it's something that we've seen in a lot of the communities here in Arizona, especially here locally. Palm Creek, as you see, they ran a charity for Alliance Cancer. So, I mean, there is an investment back into the community outside of just the developer with the impact fees. There's actually residents caring about, the surrounding area. In conclusion, it conforms to the general plan. I already went over the impact fees. We really do think it adds quality workforce housing, which is, mentioned in the general plan, and, Mayor's address was mentioned that a lot of new jobs are coming to the city, and we think this is good housing for that. It was recommended approval, and as I just showed on the last slide, both the developer and the communities themselves are committed to the growth and success of its local area. And I'm here to answer any questions you have.
Did he answer your questions, Lisa?
Yeah, and actually, I talked to him a little bit too, and I appreciate you, and I'm sorry I got your name wrong. Sorry, I don't know why I was thinking Justin, but.
Justin works, it's fine.
So sorry about that, but no, thank you for answering the questions. And like I said earlier, I mean, I think the difference here on some of the other projects is, one, Sun Communities has a reputation here, which is great, and I see what they do in the community. The location, obviously. I just, when we make these decisions, we're making decisions for the future of Casa Grande, and especially on Pinal. It's such a, this road brings so much into our community, going into our industrial area and everything. So when we make these decisions, we're making them long-term, and so it's just so massive. So that is my concern, but I understand, when we talked about, conformance with the general plan and this is not, city property, it's private, if this is what you want to develop on it, I get it. But again, we're making decisions of, where we want to see our community in 20, 30 years. So, those were all my concerns as I expressed to you earlier.
Understood.
But thank you. I appreciate your
Thank you.
follow-up.
Do you have any statistics or anything about the number of families like under 55? Because that's one thing that I've been, people have talked to me about is they're excited to have a community that's not just, 55 plus. So I know you guys have other communities throughout the state and throughout the United States. Do you have any idea about what the breakdown of that would be? And then also is it like up to 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms on these homes?
Hi, I'm Nikki Jeffries. I'm with Sunrise Land Group. I just thought I'd help Peter with that question. I think you're asking about the percentage of 55 and over versus all age in our all age communities. It's usually between 25 and 30% are 55 and over, and then 65 to 70% would be families or under 55. And then we offer, for the bedrooms you were asking about, we offer multiple different floor plans. We'll have 2, 3, and 4 bedroom options.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Before I open the public hearing?
Is there a maximum number of people that can reside in that home?
So yeah, I know Peter went over, showed quickly the rules and regs. When they sign a lease with Sun, they'll have to list how many people are in the home, and there will be a maximum based on the size of the home, and the residents will be listed, and it will not be a free-for-all or anything like that.
Right.
Will be a college dorm?
Correct.
I do have a quick question, since she brought that up. Lisa had mentioned, I think, about if somebody wanted to just up and move that. I think that because the property is owned by somebody else, is that first refusal for them to buy back that home?
Yeah. They can sell just like a traditional single-family home. Sun offers the ability to use one of their realtors because they know the housing product, but you're free to sell it just like your own traditional single-family home.
Thank you.
I have one more, sorry. And I know you outlined here what the monthly payment, as far as financing, because this is a little bit different than a regular single-family home, is it harder for someone to qualify? And do they have to put a larger down payment because of this type of program or house or whatever? Is it different?
I can't answer about the difficulty of financing, but I know that it comes out to being $25,000 less in down payments. So to answer that portion of the question, it's not like they get penalized on the down payment for the
It's
type of
actually
home.
always a smaller down payment because it's a smaller chunk of a loan. Since
Right.
you're getting a $150,000 house, the down payment is a lot less. So there's less barrier to entry, so instead of having to come up with $30,000, you can come up with $10,000, so it's usually quite a bit less as far as a down payment. Financing is typically a little bit different than a conventional mortgage because it doesn't have the land
property.
attached to it, but it's a loan with a down payment in a similar way. It's just not a mortgage in the
Right.
traditional sense.
It's like a loan on a car, personal property.
Right. But I thought when we talked about this last time, there was a difference because
Yeah,
they have
there
to have
is.
better
I think it's a
better
little-
credit
it's a little-
to qualify.
Well, it's a little more expensive.
Yeah.
The loan percentage is a
Right.
little higher because it's a personal property item.
Right.
It's not a home. It's not a traditional mortgage. So, okay, any other questions?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both. All right, this is a public hearing, so I'm going to open the public hearing. Where did I go? I got flip the page here. This is a public hearing on ordinance number 1178.191.3. So I'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody here who is here to speak on this matter? Please come forward and state your name and your address, please, for the records, and remember.
Walter Tuckey at 10963 Arapahoe Drive. I'm just curious about, nobody's mentioned the lot rent. And these guys, if they've got all this other information, they should have an idea of what the lot rent's going to be and how often it'll be changed for the people that buy those homes. Can they answer that?
They did.
They did mention it, but go ahead if you would repeat it, please.
The lot rent will be around high end of the 500 range to low 600.
And then is the cost of living increases normal kind of?
1 to 2%, 2 to 4. 2 to 4 based off of cost of living and inflation market conditions, or
Okay.
improvements to the community as well.
Okay, thank you. Did that answer your question, sir? Yes. Okay. All right, anybody else? Okay, seeing none, then I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'll call for an ordinance number, please, Gloria.
Ordinance number 1178.191.3. An ordinance of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, approving a major amendment to the Valago Village PAD adopted for property generally located south of McCartney Road between Fidel Road and Pinell Avenue, Casa Grande, Arizona, to allow for a manufactured home community to be known as Copper Canyon.
Thank you. And Mayor, if I could, prior to this, just as we get into the ordinance section, we normally have 7 members, and so we always need 4 votes, but just a reminder as our charter, we always need 4 votes to pass any ordinance regardless of how many members we have present.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I can as well, just briefly address some of the comments that a few of the council have raised this evening related to development that is actually transpiring in these areas that do not have a certificate. And I quite frankly believe that there's a number of elements that are driving the desire, but most of that is being driven by the fact that without a cause, you're essentially, as a city, we're going to likely see developments of this nature or build to rent, maybe some multifamily that would go into a larger parcel of land. And so two things. Number one, we are working on a housing study that ultimately will talk about and outline the balance that I think I'm hearing the council talk about this evening of single-family home to manufacturing to other types of leased options, if you will. I think it's important to note that each city has the ability to kind of navigate that percentage. You'll see some that are very well balanced across the board. You'll see some that ultimately aren't as balanced simply because of a philosophy or a policy, which brings me to the comment related to Councilwoman Fitzgibbons, related to the vision of the council. I think it's appropriate for me to say that staff will begin to work on a study session topic, likely that we'll bring up as quickly as we can before the mayor and council, to begin to have some dialogue to get some more specific information from the council. Obviously, the council has the ability to take action on zoning, which most of these items are going to require. And so that you have the authority to do that. But essentially, we want to try to prepare the mayor and council with as much information as we possibly can. Ironically enough, practically everything that I've heard this evening is all true, right? We're looking for attainable housing. We're looking for some affordable housing. We ultimately are trying to maintain a housing demand based on the industrial and economic growth that we have. So everything that we're talking about is reality. But I do think the major component that we as a city don't have as much control of that we once did, it has to do with the certificates and where we find ourselves there. And I know that that's a separate topic in itself. But and we try to keep the mayor and council apprised of what we're attempting to do to try to solve that issue in a partnership with Arizona Water. But I see that being a situation that likely will not be addressed for the next couple of years. Certainly, it'll be something that's going to be more long-term. There are still roughly 20,000 certificates that are within our City of Casa Grande Incorporated limits. But as many of you know, those particular development areas that hold those certificates are kind of spread throughout the community, and many of them are not accessible to the infrastructure, which is going to drive some level of development that's closer to infrastructure and require these types of decisions.
Okay.
Oh, Mayor McFarland, I move approval of ordinance number 1178.191.3 as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
You know, this is obviously a difficult decision for me. It really is. I really take this serious, but I understand the situation that we're in. I think this is a little more unique situation as far as the location of this particular development. I understand the need for workforce housing and attainable housing. So I am going to vote yes, but I just want the community to know that I'm really looking at this, and I just don't want us to become a community that has all manufactured homes. I understand the situation we're in with certificates of assured water, but we need to do what we can to make sure that they're in the right location, and Pinal is not the place. Pinal is not the place for us to continue to bring thousands and thousands of manufactured homes. So, but I think because of the reputation of this developer, the location of it, you know, they're doing what, you know, what we asked even the other developer as far as keeping commercial on Pinal, you know, and the location is good. So I am going to vote yes, but I really am going to look forward to that, and I hope it's in the very near future that we have that discussion on where we're moving. So yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes, with a comment that I've been asking for a housing study for a while, so let's get it done so we can at least have some data to look at. Please. All right. Thank you. All right, we're going to move to item L4, another public hearing. This is on ordinance number 1178.434. Jacqueline?
All right, good evening, Mayor, Council. Next item on the agenda is a zone change request from B2, which is general business, to B3, which is central business, located at the southwest corner of Treacle and Florence. It's approximately 1.6 acres. And the site is being requested to rezone to B3 to allow for the redevelopment of this block and to allow for zero setbacks that's allowed within B3 and to better align with the city's general plan community corridor land use category. So when reviewing zone changes, there are three categories that staff reviews. First one is the action is consistent with the city's general plan, including the goals, policies, and other elements. And one of the goals of the community corridor is to transition community corridor areas to become more pedestrian and bicycle-friendly environments, particularly along major street corridors. And one of the actions is to take action to promote site design featuring reduced front setbacks and building placement that approaches and embraces public sidewalks and streets. And the second one, a rezoning conforms to the general plan if it proposes land uses, densities, or intensities with the range of identified uses of the general plan. So the B3 zoning district is an appropriate zoning district within the community corridor. And third, the proposed zone change is necessary and proper at this time to meet the land use needs of the residents of the city. So the B3 will allow for the site to be redeveloped to meet the development standards outlined in the community corridor land use category of the general plan. And in addition, one of the general plan's intent of the community corridor areas are to envision diverse activity centers and feature a range of building sizes and land uses. And by expanding to B3 zoning in this area would help to achieve the vision of the community corridor and to improve the appearance and economic vitality of the city's corridors. With regards to notification, staff and the applicant met all the requirements per the city code, and I did not receive any inquiries or comments. So with that, at the June 8th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the commission voted 5-0 to forward a recommendation of approval to City Council with the following conditions of approval. The first one is for a preliminary replat and final plat of the site once they have a redevelopment plan. And then the second one is the general right-of-way request. Happy to answer any questions council may have.
That's the old CAC building and then the property next to it?
Yes.
Okay.
Old Pinell Liquor.
Yeah, well, no, it's gone. That's where it was. It's not there anymore.
That was a long time ago.
It was Randy's store, wasn't it?
Yeah, Randy's.
I just, I'm curious, have they said what they're gonna do with this piece?
I believe the applicant's here, they can talk about that, but they're just,
I'm
they're
just
still
curious.
working on that. But just rezoning it will kind of entice.
Open
Open it up and entice more developers.
Okay. It'll be nice to do something with it.
One of the last best corners in town.
Yeah.
Right in the middle.
Right across from the Pinal Credit Union, right?
Yes, it is a.
Anybody else have any
prime
questions?
corner.
Or? Okay. Will the B3 help them then be a little more, I mean, can they do a little more with it then with the B3 or?
Potentially, but it also helps.
Because I thought B2 is pretty open too, isn't it?
It really helps with the setbacks, so they would just have the 15-foot landscape buffer. With it being a corner, they would be, I believe, required to have 30-foot setbacks at all sites if they look at.
Because that interchange is something we're looking at to try and put turn lanes in too, right?
Yeah, so that would help with that too.
Would it help us?
Yes, with that, with the second conditions of approval, getting the right-of-way needed,
Okay. All right, then.
and in plating.
Okay. All right. No comments from the council, then I will open the public hearing. This is again on item L4. It's item ordinance number 1178.434. Is there anybody here who would like to address this issue? All right, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and call for an ordinance number, please, Gloria.
Ordinance number 1178.434, an ordinance of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, amending zoning ordinance 1178 in its subsequent amendments by changing the zoning from general commercial B2 to central business B3 on property generally located at 1015 East Florence Boulevard, Casa Grande, Arizona.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve ordinance 1178.434 as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, we'll move to the next item, which is item L4. Again, another public hearing. This is on regarding ordinance number 1178.435. Jacqueline, you're up again.
Just for the record, I think this one's L5.
L5.
That was L4 you just did, I think.
L5.
L5.
Did I say L4? Oh, I meant L5. I said the right number. Ordinance number 1178.435. Sorry, L5.
Good evening. This is another zone change request from B4 Community Services to B3 Central Business. Site is located at 139 West First Street in the downtown area. And the site is requesting this zone change to allow, again, for 0-foot setbacks. And the B3 zoning district better aligns with the city's general plan and downtown land use category. Again, here are the three review criteria staff looks at. And one of the goals of the downtown is to develop a strategy for downtown development, redevelopment, and adaptive reuse. An action step is to encourage the conversion of vacant and/or underutilized sites for more intensive urban areas. And rezoning conforms to general plan. Again, this B3 central business is appropriate in the downtown land use category. And the proposed zone change is necessary and proper to meet the city's land use needs of the residents of the city. Zone change to B3 within the downtown land use category will allow for the existing site to be in conformance with the zoning code. Staff and the applicant met all the required notification requirements per the city code. And again, I did not receive any comments or questions on this request. And again, at the June 8th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the commission voted 5-0 to forward a recommendation of approval to City Council to approve B4 to B3. Happy to answer any questions.
Questions, anybody?
They're making investments downtown.
I guess so.
It's a good company.
Just hope they do something with it. All right. I don't see any comments from the council, so I will open the public hearing. This is a public hearing on item L5, which is ordinance number 1178.435. Is there anyone who would like to address this issue? All right, seeing none, then I'll close the public hearing and call for an ordinance number, please, Gloria.
Ordinance number 1178.435, an ordinance of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, amending zoning ordinance 1178 and its subsequent amendments by changing the zoning from community services B4 to central business B3 on property generally located at 139 West First Street, Casa Grande, Arizona.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve ordinance number 1178.435 as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second, Gloria. Can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, L6, public hearing for ordinance number 1178.436. You're on a roll, Jacqueline.
This is a zone change request from all R3, which is multifamily, to CO Commercial Office. Is located at the northeast corner of Truckle and Avenida Elena, and it's approximately 1.32 acres. The site is requesting to be rezoned to allow for medical offices on the site. So a little background on the site. It is originally developed in 1975, and per those zoning ordinance, within the R3, office was allowed use. However, in the 1987 revision of the zoning ordinance, office buildings were removed from the R3 zoning district, which created a legal nonconforming status for the site. And then in 2015, a conditional use permit was approved on the site for an online high school, which is an allowed use in R3. So per code 1762010C, when any lawful or and non-conforming use of a structure or land in any district has been changed to a conforming use, it should not hereinafter be changed to any non-conforming use. So it could not convert back to an office building once that conditional use permit was permitted. So this commercial office zoning is the least intensive commercial zoning district to ensure infill development and be compatible with the adjacent properties. Looking again at the zone review criteria, one of the goals of neighborhoods is to minimize land use conflicts, and one of the action steps is to promote compatibility between residential developments of different scale by encouraging the use of physical separation of landscape areas to separate adjacent single and multi-story developments. And one of the rezoning conforms to the general plan if it proposes land use densities and intensities within a range of identified uses. Again, as noted, commercial office is appropriate in the neighborhood land use category, and the zone change to CO allows the site to be used as it was originally intended, while having the least amount of impact on the adjacent neighborhood. And the proposed zone change is necessary and proper at this time to meet the land use needs of the residents. And the zone change to CO within the neighborhood land use category will allow for the existing site to be in conformance with the zoning code and hence meet the land use needs. With regard to notification, the applicant and staff met all the requirements. At the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting last month, there were 2 adjacent property owners that did speak during the public hearing portion. They had concerns regarding property value, crime, and the type of uses that would be occurring there. The applicant representative clarified that they're strictly clinical offices with on-site mentoring and educating youth through an online platform. So it's a little different than, or it's different from other Horizon programs. So with that, at the June 8th Planning Commission meeting, the Commission voted 5-0 to forward a recommendation of approval to City Council for the zone change request from R3 multifamily to CO commercial office with the following condition of approval. Happy to answer any questions.
We're just trying to figure out where the building is.
Oh.
We figured it out. What's that building that's on there now?
So that was, it's in the previous been used as medical offices, behavioral health. It was an online school. So that's the building they will be using.
That's a church, right?
Yeah.
The church is to the south.
Baptist church is
And that used to
south
be
of that.
Pinnacle. Isn't it Pinnacle School still?
I believe that's what it previously was. They have not been at that location for a while now, I believe.
I don't think anybody there.
Okay. Questions or comments? Okay. This is item L6, public hearing. So this is on ordinance number 1178436. I'm going to open the floor to anyone here who would like to comment on this proposed change. Is there anyone here? Okay. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and I'll call for an ordinance number, please.
Ordinance number 1178.436, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, amending zoning ordinance 1178 and its subsequent amendments by changing the zoning from multifamily R3 to commercial office CO on property generally located at 2510 North Treco Road, Casa Grande, Arizona.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve ordinance 1178.436 as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember McBride?
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, the last public hearing tonight, L7. This is a public hearing for ordinance number 1178.437.
Good evening. This is a request for Tri-Valley Plan Area Development, major amendment to Lot 1, shown on the map here. The site is 9.36 acres. It's currently zone PAD with permitted to have all permitted and conditional uses allowed within the B2 zoning district. The request is to establish additional conditional uses within the existing building on Lot 1, which is warehouses limited to less than 40% of the current building, bowling alleys, and indoor mini storage, self-storage. And again, this is request is to establish additional conditional uses at this time. And then limit of the area. Here are the PD review criteria that the staff report goes into detail. I'll be covering the two highlighted ones. With regards to interrelationship of the plan elements to conditions both on and off the property, the site is located at the southeast corner of Florence and Colorado Street in an already developed commercial center. The request is to add additional uses as conditional uses that are currently not allowed within the PAD, and the conditional uses process would allow for planning staff and the planning commission to evaluate each request on a case-by-case basis. With regards to conformance to the city's general plan, it is located within the community corridor, and PAD is allowed use within the community corridor land use category. And one of the goals is to promote diverse business, retail, and office uses in the community corridor areas. Regarding notification and inquiries, staff and the applicant met all the requirements. This did actually go to the April Planning Commission meeting. However, the applicant was unable to attend, and there were some questions brought up, so this was tabled to a future Planning Commission meeting. One of the concerns was from Mr. Dremler, who lives directly behind this site, and he was brought up some concerns with the wall and landscaping. So code enforcement and myself met with Mr. Dremler out there. We didn't notice that the height of the wall didn't meet the site plan. So that's being addressed through a code enforcement case that the applicant is addressing. And then there is a portion that is higher that was done as part of the Goodwill development under that building permit that is approximately 8 feet high. And then so at the June 8th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, Commission voted 5-0 to forward a recommendation of approval to City Council for the major amendment to the Tri-Valley Planned Area Development for Lot 1, establishing additional conditional uses within the PAD. They did add one condition of record. The property owner shall raise the wall along the southern boundary of Lot 1 to 8 feet. However, the applicant has indicated that he is not in favor of this, so I believe he's here to speak about that. So we did look at potential alternative conditions of record. One is that the property owner shall raise the wall along the southern boundary of Lot 1 to 8 feet in conjunction with the conditional use permit, or council may decide not to require the wall to be raised beyond 6 feet. So happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Can you pull the site map up? So this is a separate ownership?
Yes,
So this whole mall is not one developer,
correct.
it's multiple? Okay, because there's, what, 4 or 5 tenants in here now? I mean, Ace is in there, you got
Yes, Ace, Goodwill,
Joann's, you got
Joann's.
Planet Fitness, there's,
And the reasoning behind
Goodwill
this
and they
request is, when Walmart was there, it had a much deeper building profile with the warehousing and storage in the back. So all the current suites do not go all the way back to the building. So there's empty areas that the applicant owner would like to utilize. So that's really the,
so that's the impetus for changing this?
yes.
Because that'll allow them to access that other area? Well,
Be
then-
able to, potentially rent areas out. like for.
Then there's a lot of work that needs to be done to that parking lot in the back too, because it's a mess.
And that would be done on a case-by-case basis with the CUP evaluating.
Matt? Donna?
So I just want to make sure I'm clear. So if they have those in the back, the entrances for those businesses would be in the back? Is that what
Correct.
you're?
Yes, so it would really just be, like when we spoke originally, he was looking at a potential like kind of storage warehouse going in there. And then he wanted, I was like, adding stuff that's not usually allowed in B2, like the bowling alley. I was like, what doesn't hurt to request it? So yeah, they would be looking and just utilizing the back area.
Because there needs to be better access back there too. That's not very good. It's not very big.
For
The access
parking
and parking.
And that's why it's looking at more like self-storage, where like
Okay.
stuff that would be.
So you wouldn't have a lot of retail.
Correct.
Okay. Because I know there's a gym back there, or there was. I don't know if it's still there.
Cheer place.
I think it was
Cheer place or
gymnastics.
something. Yeah, gymnastics. Matt?
So anything that would go in here would be a CUP, so they would have to come back for every use.
Yes, so planning.
To planning, I mean, not back
Yes.
here, but to planning commission for every use to be approved by them. And then the planning commission, when they approved this, they stipulated an 8-foot wall in the back.
Correct.
Okay. So that's on the proposal right now, however,
Correct.
they're asking to not have to do the 8-foot wall, but planning recommended the 8-foot wall.
Yes.
Okay.
I do have one just clarification, because I want to make sure, the question that I heard was only conditional uses could be used there. I don't think this zoning actually does that, because it just adds additional conditional uses to the already permitted one. So for example, if the gym was already a permitted use in the B2 district, it was already permitted to be there. And so this zoning amendment simply adds 3 additional conditionally permitted uses to those that are already in the B2 district.
Yes, thanks, Brett.
Okay.
Yes, thanks.
So
for
not
clarifying.
everything would have to, if it's permitted, it's already permitted, so.
Potentially, and not knowing the thing, we'd have to look at all of the different developmental pieces. Obviously, the applicant, and who will be able to speak to it, brought this piece because they think that's going to be the easiest ones for them to do, that would be most consistent with parking and otherwise, to really be able to use that area, whereas a heavy retail use really wouldn't be able to do so. People would be parking in the front and having to walk
There's no
around.
parking back there.
Right.
And it's kind of trashy. Just because I go through there. Yeah, I won't say more. Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right. Well, this is a public hearing, so I will. Yeah, if the applicant's here and wanted to speak before I put a time limit on you.
I'm David Kevin, the applicant, 3004 Greyhawk Court, Bettendorf, Iowa. That's my address. So as far as the additional uses, we're going through the process, so that's why we added bowling alley and mini storage, but there's no plans for that right now. And since we're going through the process, we wanted to leave flexibility for the future, for other areas up front in case we have a tenant or space available up front. But the space in the back, it's about 8 to 10,000 square feet. There's really no good retail use, so we had a small moving company that wanted to use it for storage, which seemed like a good fit, but then we found it wasn't a permitted use, which is why we filled out the application for the conditional uses. And since the planning and zoning meeting, we did quote an 8-foot wall, and we found that the current wall is a real thin wall, and we could raise it slightly, but to raise it to 8 feet wouldn't be possible with that type of wall. We'd have to tear it down, rebuild the whole wall, which makes it cost prohibitive, which is why we're requesting not to require the 8-foot wall. And really, there's, I guess, 2 reasons for that. The one is if we were required, then we'd probably withdraw our application and just continue looking for a retail tenant back there or something that would be allowed. The other reason is Walmart's been back there for decades prior to the current tenants, and they had, that was a receiving area. They had significant traffic back there. I don't think our use will be more intense than what they had, and that wall was sufficient at that time for their use through their years of occupancy of that building. Any questions for me?
The 8-foot wall, you didn't know that when it was at planning until you?
No, we
Okay.
didn't, no.
Is there a compromise somewhere in there? How much
Is it
do you think you
6?
could raise it and keep it safe?
That's the 6 foot, and that's what I guess the original plan for it was the code enforcement, which I didn't know that, but Walmart, when they built it, it was supposed to be 6 foot, but it's only 5.3 feet. So one layer could be added to that wall.
Okay.
It's crazy it went all those years.
I
with
know, with
And the
Walmart.
traffic coming and going. Why put that on them now, but.
Well, maybe there's some compromise. If we could get it to 6 foot, then,
And I didn't know the reason until.
yeah, that might help. Would you be willing to do that?
Yeah, and I believe that's part of the code enforcement.
Yeah, it will be
regardless.
raised to 6 foot.
Pardon me?
It will be raised to 6 foot.
To 6 foot, okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, yes.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions or comments for the applicant? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, it's a public hearing, so I'm going to open the floor to public hearing. If you please come forward and please try and keep your comments 3 minutes and state your name and your address, please.
Hi, my name is Betty Garza. My address is 394 North Colorado Street. We own 2.5 acres that butt up against the wall. And the reason we're coming forward now is because we were living in California. Now we're going to be moving into the house that's right behind it. There's a lot of traffic, even though not all of that lot 1 butts up against our property. There is a loading dock, and there are trucks that come back and forth. Even now, the wall, in some parts, we took measurements. Some measure at 4.2, some at 5. There's no consistency across that whole mall. And if you have big rigs, they can look into our house. We've had things thrown over the wall, even 6 feet. There's no privacy, safety, and that is the reason we're coming forward now. Now, our neighbor, part of that wall, granted, was built up 8 feet. All we're asking is that we get the same courtesy to have that wall built up, because even though it butts up against the vacant lot right now, we plan on building another house on that site. So that was the reason the zoning approved the 8-foot wall, because of safety concerns, noise concerns, and privacy concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, then I'll close the public hearing. So, what are the thoughts? I mean,
I have another question.
Is the compliance, is 6 foot in compliance? So it doesn't require an 8-foot wall?
No, the major site plan, the original major site plan had 6 feet back there. During, when Goodwill was, went in, they raised the wall to 8 feet. I do not know how that came about, to be honest.
So the stuff right behind,
It's about probably a 20, 30 feet of wall
is it
directly
the,
behind Goodwill.
is it the
And
same kind of wall
As what?
as the
That's
one
the
that?
that's 6 feet?
No, it's different? Okay, okay. So it's a different wall.
Yeah, so that was done in 2011.
Okay. Matt?
I guess the wall is the issue, the question, and it's always been that height. I mean, from 2011, it's been 8 foot on one part, and it's supposed to be 6 on the other part, so it's been that way for a long, oh, am I done? Been that way for a long time, so that's always been that way, but it should be raised to 6 feet. And then, I guess my question is, where, can you do 7, or, I'm just curious, I'm not a block engineer by any means, so I didn't know about that, but he's saying no. It's not built for that, but now I'm hearing that some of it's 4'8" and some of it's,
So I don't know, so the
And where do
property
they
owner,
measure?
if you see on the map,
Whose side do they
the
measure
lot
on?
line for lot 1 is not quite half through her lot. So that would be
Yeah.
the only portion that we're talking about there. The other portion to the east is owned by a separate property owner, and we have also opened up a code enforcement case on them as well.
Get it to at least 6 foot?
To get a 6 foot. I meant to follow up with Priscilla today, but I didn't get a status on where they are with that owner.
Okay. Donna?
I guess I have a couple concerns here, because first of all, the safety is really important, and for the citizens that are living behind there, if it's not safe enough to go up, then how did the other one go up, and is it safe?
It's a bigger wall.
And,
It's
well,
better.
exactly, but why can't we, why can't we expect that if that's what was originally planned, that they were gonna take it to 8 foot? Quite frankly, I think somebody didn't do their homework to find out if that was possible before they agreed to it.
It was, so the original site plan was just for 6 foot. When Goodwill went in, the building permit called for an 8 foot wall, which they redesigned it. It's a different wall. And then again, if anything goes in there with the conditional use, we could evaluate the needs for a higher fence at that time as well.
So they'd have to come back to planning and zoning.
Yes.
but regardless, it's gonna be 6 foot.
Correct.
And is that measured on which side of the wall? Because I'm sure it's not. Okay.
Okay.
That's what I
right,
figured,
go
but
over the
yeah,
other.
just to clarify. But it's always supposed to be a 6 foot wall, even though an 8 foot was brought up in 2011. So when you go there, because I have family that lives farther east from there, right behind there, and I think that's only a 6 foot wall. And they lived there for 30 years, 40 years, so.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Council? All right, so,
So we're at the place, so we need to make a
decision
the one
on
that's just the wall.
on the height
I
of the
guess, is
wall, right? We need to make that decision in the proposal, or how do
Yeah,
you?
well, I think the ordinance as drafted includes the condition that planning and zoning had in. So if you voted on the ordinance as is, it would require an 8 foot wall. If you wanted to remove that, we would amend, obviously, the ordinance. You could take it to 6 feet, just to make sure, easy amendment from 8 to 6. You could leave it at 8, or you could remove the condition entirely, which would then leave it on planning and zoning to decide if a conditional permitted use came in, what height the wall would need to be. So it's really at the pleasure of the council. However you decide to do it, we ordinarily would, move the ordinance with that change, or you could do it after you move the ordinance.
All right.
The one interesting option is the conditional use, because it sounds to me like Goodwill was a conditional use, or for some reason they got an 8 foot wall. But, so everything that's there now would have a 6 foot wall per code. But if something came in that required an 8 foot wall, then at that point, it would be up to them to say, hey, this is a use that would require an 8 foot wall.
Right. You could also amend your ordinance to, say that prior to any of the new conditional uses, that it would require an 8 foot wall. So if they wanted to use it as the mini storage. Your options are ultimately, it's up to council and your legislative discretion to determine what rezoning, if any, you want to put on this property.
So are certain uses, it does increase as far as how high the wall would be?
We would evaluate it at a case-by-case basis, depending on type of trucks or,
Right, okay.
Well, then the landowner has options to add to their wall. I mean, they could make their wall higher.
But he can't unless he has to redo the whole,
So you have to replace the wall.
the whole wall. He says cost prohibitive.
No, I meant the property owners that own the home.
Oh, it's not their wall.
They could make it their wall.
They can make a wall.
How can they do that?
No, that's
Just
not
build a
their
new
wall.
wall.
They build another wall. Because the one thing that gets me is it's been 6 feet,
I know.
or supposed to have been
No.
6 feet the whole
Right.
time with the uses that are there. So I kind of like the thing of if a condition comes up that requires 8 feet, that's something intensive.
Yeah.
That would be, I don't know how we would draft that, Brett.
Well, if you're talking about just any of these new conditional uses, and again, I think the applicant said that they'd likely withdraw if they would have to do it, like for the storage place. But what you would do is you would probably amend the ordinance to say that prior to any of the new conditional uses in the rear of the building, that the wall would have to be gone to 8 feet. And I have to leave it up to Jacqueline. I think they need a special permit, and 8-foot walls have to be engineered, correct?
Probably.
Yes.
Yeah, so they'd have to, go through that process and make sure they could do that. But they ultimately could. They'd likely have to tear it down, though, because it does need to be engineered under our code.
Jacqueline, say in the Fry's Shopping Center on Pinal, there's homes right behind that. But, where where the pickup, the trucks come in, the loading docks. So what is that wall back there? Is it common to have a 6 foot, 8 foot?
I don't.
Does anyone know what it is? I don't know.
I know with that one, I mean, it's newer, so there's gonna be there's a bigger buffer area, and there's
Okay.
landscaping, I know,
Yeah.
additional
Landscaping.
landscape buffer.
Yeah.
It's not like 30 feet from the fence.
I know. I'm just wondering if that's like average, if it, that obviously it must be if it's 6 foot, that's what, they allowed for
And
them
that's-
to do, or under 6
So-
foot.
That's the grandfather
So
requirement.
per
Yeah.
the code, when commercial abuts, single-family or residential development, they are limited to a 6-foot wall unless they do a special permit fence, which is a conditional use permit to go
Oh,
higher.
got it, okay.
But, I mean, with a PAD, with that being a PAD, they could have established different
Requirements.
requirements.
Yeah.
I think it's been a 6-foot wall. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's always been a 6 foot, or should have been a 6-foot wall
Yeah.
for the whole time it's been there. And then there is an 8-foot section. So I'm thinking, I'm sorry, that's the thing, it's always been a 6 foot.
Well, and there's no dock over further. I mean, it's just,
Right.
it's just the back of the building.
Yeah.
If he cleans it up.
That's,
Minimum
That's-
6 foot.
That's code.
Yeah,
enforcement.
minimum.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it sounds like council wants to, I think, go with the 6-foot fence,
Yeah.
with the required fencing, but make sure it's all 6-foot fence. At least for this section, and then we'll address the other one in a code violation.
Because it's important to note that we're only rezoning a piece of it.
I got it. But we can address the other, you can address the other through code violation, okay.
Potentially, right, that's kind of the way we need to do it, because it only amends the one piece, and it really only deals with if 3 additional uses, but the easiest thing to do is simply to move the ordinance and say that condition 1 would be changed from 8 feet to 6 feet.
Okay. All right, so let's change that.
May move during the motion.
Can we just make that in the motion?
You can.
Brett? Okay. And then ask the applicant too, if at all possible, if it can be a little higher? Or do we have to get?
You have to get a permit to go over
reconstruction to
6,
go
yeah.
higher?
I believe it has to be engineered
7?
over 6 feet.
Oh, okay.
7?
All right, never mind. Let's go with the code, though.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say to the homeowners, I mean, obviously this, it's difficult to decide on this, but it's tough because they've already been there for how many years? And so how do you make,
It's the landowners.
yeah, tell them that they
right.
have to raise it and incur that cost? It's one thing if they can do it and it's, something that's, they can, fit in.
Reasonable.
Yeah, but I just struggle with making them increase it when they've been there and you've had the homes there for many, many years. So I think it's fair to raise it to the 6 foot and.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then I'll entertain an ordinance number, please. Gloria?
Ordinance number 1178.437, an ordinance of the Council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, approving a major amendment to the Tri-Valley Plaza zoning adopted for property generally located at the southeast corner of Florence Boulevard and Colorado Street, Casa Grande, Arizona, to allow additional conditionally permitted uses in Lot 1.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve ordinance 1178.437 with the change from 8 feet to 6 feet.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I get a roll call vote, please?
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, we have reports, so Donna?
Nothing to report, just wishing Councilman Edwards and Huddleston speedy recovery.
Stole my report.
Matt? Got a quick one. We're having our Youth Commission retreat on the 29th at the rec center, and Larry and, it's been a long night. Danny are going to be the entertainment for lunch since the mayor's going to be out of town. So looking forward to it. And I wanted to give a shout out to Heather from the PIO department. She's going to do a session on branding with them. We tried to get Brett's omelet presentation, but Brett, once again, you lost on your presentation. So I'm going to give him the highlights of it.
That's the idea.
Okay.
I heard Brett lost at pickleball, too.
Just my calf muscle.
Well, first of all, Danny, congratulations on a wonderful fireworks display. You had some competition this year, though, with all the illegal fireworks out there.
They always do.
It was quite the show sitting over there by McCartney School, watching all of it. Councilmember Edwards did text me and said he is out of surgery. It was 5 hours. It was a lot harder than they thought, but he's going home tomorrow. And Chief, he said he'd see you in 3 months on the golf course and ready to take you on. So, Mayor, thank you for showing up for our ribbon cutting for our new high school, our
Pace.
and our workforce development school that is opening on Thursday. Also, Thursday will be the first day of school. I just want to caution everybody to be careful going around Union as we retrain our parents to enter off of Treckle for drop-off and our students to enter off of McCartney. So it could be a little confusing there for a few days. And then Casa Grande Union former principal Tom Trigolay, who was principal from 2015 to 2019, passed away on Saturday after a tough fight with cancer. And so we wish his family, Joe, our condolences as a community as well. Tom served the community for 4 years, so we're really sorry to hear that news.
Lisa?
It's hard to believe school's starting already. Seems like it was just over. Just quickly, I wanted to give just a little bit of an update to the council and the community on our iHelp program, which is the Interfaith Homeless Emergency Lodging Program. We are started June 1st, and now we're into our 6th week. So I just wanted to thank all of the partners. It's really coming along, and it's starting to grow at a perfect time because of the heat. We're getting, we started with 2 people, and now we're up to 9, 10 people a night. So we've worked through many of the kinks, but the partnerships have been great. The word is getting out. We've gotten people that have contacted us to see how they can volunteer, whether it's providing a meal, helping on the overnight. As a matter of fact, Representative Seaman actually spent the night at the iHelp overnight last week at the First Presbyterian Church. So we're always looking for volunteers. We have a coordinator now. Deb Gonzalez is our coordinator. So I just wanted to give a shout out again to the churches that, you know, took on this challenge and are working with us in the community. St. Anthony's, First Presbyterian Church, Trinity Baptist, Calvary Chapel, Crossroads, and St. Peter's. We're now looking to go, we're really close to extending it to 2 days a week, probably in August. We'll be going with 2 days a week now that we're getting more churches on board. We have New Beginnings Church and Trinity Lutheran, Covenant Baptist are churches that are now looking to come on board. So we're just trying to work through those partnerships. You know, we work with Laundry Love. Cara has done a fantastic job with her staff on, you know, rounding up the homeless and those that can participate. The LDS Church, you know, I mean, it's just, you know, there's so many partnerships of people that are making this work. So we know there's a, you know, a tremendous need, especially as it gets warmer in the, you know, it's miserable actually, but, so we're really hoping, but it's definitely, there's challenges, but we're moving forward. So, and as far as cooling stations, you know, CG Helps is open Monday through Friday. They're gonna start opening up on Saturdays. So if, you know, the police officers see someone that's just miserable and needs to cool off, you know, CG Helps is open and they're letting people come in, you know, sit down, lay down, have water, they have snacks. So please encourage people to go there to cool off. The Faith Alliance and the Homeless Coalition is going to have a project called CG, or Project Connect. It's this Friday from 9 to 12, and it's at St. Anthony's Church. And they're bringing together different resources, not only for homeless, but just the community, for people. They're going to have haircuts, housing assistance, vision screening, employment assistance, health screening, IDs, and a lot more. One thing they are going to have this year is free mammograms. They're going to have a mobile mammogram unit. And so you can definitely go through, you have to make an appointment, but it's free. So, so please, women out there that haven't had a mammogram, take advantage of this opportunity. And it's going to be this Friday, July 21st from 8 to 1.
It's in the community center.
It's in the St. Anthony's Community Center. Yep. Again, thanks to all the partners, the nonprofits and all the health partners that are participating in that. And then I know I mentioned the last meeting, but the Latino Familia Initiative, one of our initiatives is a Hispanic Leadership Institute. We're in our 17th year and of developing Latino leaders throughout Pinal County. And so if anyone is interested in participating in this program, we're accepting applications. If you want to go into valledelsol.com, it's a 10-week program at CAC. Great way to just network, learn about policies in the different communities, and you know we've had a lot of successful people come out of this program as council members, board members, PTO people. I'm a graduate. There's actually quite a few people and Latino leaders that are graduates of this. So please, August 4th, if you have any teachers, Chief McCrory, we've had quite a few police officers, and so if you have anyone that you would like to participate, and we've had city staff that have participated from the court and other places. So please join us, and it's a great program. So that's it.
Okay. Again, just a reminder to everybody, we are trying to push this information out on CG Alerts, so there's opportunities for you to stay connected with your city. We're pushing out event notifications, ADOT notifications, emergency road closures, issues that happen here in the city. If all you can remember is text the word CG Alerts to 38276, or come over to City Hall and take a picture of the QR code, and you can go directly to the site. Or you can do it on our website as well. Thank you, Matt. And just to give everybody an update, I had two subjects. I'll be brief on this, but the Greater Phoenix Economic Council puts out a report, and just to give everybody an update on the economic growth and the slowdown, the economy growth rate slowed to 2% from January to March of 2023, compared to 2.6 from October to December, and that's nationally. But the Phoenix market, which is we're part of, we expect it to outperform that, despite the slowdown across the country. So there's There's one economic note there. Unemployment rate slightly increased locally and nationally. The Phoenix area, or the national unemployment, I should say, Arizona unemployment rates reached 3.3% and 3.6%. So the Phoenix market was 3.3, the state was 3.6. Nationally, it rose to 3.4, and actually in April it was 3.7. So just a couple bits of information. They also talked about the national consumer sentiments, actually getting a boost. The consumer sentiment in the country is experiencing a slight boost, suggests that there is optimism, attitude towards consumer spending due to the easing inflationary pressure. So inflation is coming down, and so that's a good thing. Hopefully that will stop the increase in our interest rates. So anyway, that's my report. That's all I've got. Actually, I have more, but I won't give it. Keep it short. Any other comments, council? All right, again, wishing a speedy recovery to Mr. Lavender and to Mr. Edwards. So, Huddleston, sorry, you're sitting here.
School hasn't
School hasn't started yet? I was wishing you a speedy recovery from the start of school. Sorry. Bob Huddleston and Anthony Edwards, speedy recovery to them both. All right, thank you. We stand adjourned, but we will now move into one more session, but we need a 5-minute break. That's your break, Matt.
Thank you.
I almost forgot about that, Mayor. I was like,
Let the roll call show that we are all here except for two, and two that we should excuse.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve Councilmember Huddleston and Councilmember Edwards.
For approval or excuse?
I said I moved to excuse, didn't I?
You said approve, but that's okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
I meant to excuse.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So they are excused. New business. This is C1, considering approval resolution number 5558, adopting the budget in fiscal year 23-24.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'll keep this brief. Staff recommends for the final budget to be approved in the amount for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024, in the amount of $274,329,337. Prior to this adoption, the tentative budget was made public through 2 publications in the local newspaper. Additionally, a public hearing took place on June 5th during the regular council meeting. The final budget encompasses all the information that has been presented to the mayor and council up to this point. The resolution approval solidifies the City of Casa Grande's budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. I'll take any questions if you've had any.
Can we make an amendment to the budget and take the police and the Parks and Rec budgets off of the approval budget since they just walked out the door? And we're going to give it all to Kevin and all to Richard. Oh, and Larry, and HR.
And Gloria.
And HR, and yes, and
finance.
Gloria.
And finance.
Well, I just said those two. We'll just take those two off. Since finance and everybody else is here. Don't print that, please, Jody. I was just kidding. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? No. All right. Yes. Thank you.
Here, go.
All right. Seeing no questions, then I'll call for a resolution number, please. Gloria?
Resolution number 5558, a resolution of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, adopting the budget for fiscal year 2023 to 2024.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve resolution number 5558 as presented.
Second.
All right. A motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, we'll move to item C2. This is considering approval of ordinance number 3380.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Staff recommends that the Mayor and Council approve the ordinance to purchase the replacement of new vehicles, replacement vehicles and new vehicles outlined in the blanket purchase list for the FY24 fiscal year. The proposed expenditures for these purchases amount to the total of $3,666,070. Given the current challenges caused by the global supply chain, staff seeks to proactively prepare any available purchasing options that may arise, ensuring the fulfillment of the approved vehicle purchases outlined in the FY24 budget. To accomplish this, staff requests that authorization from the mayor and council acquire both replacement and new vehicles and equipment that were previously approved in the tentative budget and are included in the blanket approval list. This proactive approach enables the city to act swiftly when vehicles become available, increasing the likelihood of the successful acquisition during the challenging times. Vendors have become less inclined to be able to reserve vehicles for the city while staff follows the regular approval process, making a prompt action essential. While staff seeks the formal approval and authorization from the council through the signature action, it remains committed to adhering to the procurement code and ensuring that all procurements fall within the budget authority granted by the mayor and council. The sole change in the process lies within seeking advance council approval for the purchasing during the supply crisis period, as opposed to the usual practice of bringing each purchase separately for approval. By adopting this approach, the city can optimize the positioning and seize suitable opportunities and secure with fleet and appropriate limits. I'll entertain any questions if there is any.
Questions? Comments? Thank you. All right, seeing none, then I'll entertain an ordinance number, please, Gloria.
Ordinance number 3380, an ordinance of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, approving the purchase of budgeted vehicles, authorizing expenditure of public funds, authorizing the transfer of budget authority, and authorizing the execution of agreements, purchase order, contracts, and all other necessary documentation by the city manager.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve ordinance number 3380 as presented.
Second?
A motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, move to item C3, ordinance number 3381.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Staff recommends that the Mayor and Council adopt the ordinance to approve the city's FY 23-24 large operating expenditure list, encompassing operating expenditures exceeding $25,000 and over. While each purchase still requires individual council approval, the adoption of the resolution for approvals can expedite the process to save valuable time and resources for the city. In order to facilitate this efficiently, decision-making, staff suggests that the consideration of the blanket ordinance to endorse the outlined individual purchases provided in the attached document, although these purchasings exceeding $25,000 will still require council approval or denial in a case-by-case basis, as well as the approval of bids and proposals to use the resolution for the projects surpassing $50,000 eliminates the need for separate ordinances. This streamlined approach accelerated the approval process by approximately 45 days, enabling the approved projects to proceed promptly. And now I'll just entertain any questions if there's any.
So it still has to come back to council, it's just gonna be faster,
Yep.
just to be clear.
Well, I just want to make sure we're reminded when we, when that comes up, just so we make sure we
Yeah,
remember.
what it is, it just allows us, normally we'd be bringing some of these items, like Kevin's item tonight for the roads by ordinance.
Right.
Now you're gonna pass the CIP ordinance, they'll still have to come to you,
Yeah.
but you'll be just acting by resolution. So we'll remind you, because I have to prepare it.
Okay, good.
So-
And it only has to have one read, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
That's the whole point, right?
So we're
Right.
streamlining it.
Right.
Okay. Excellent. Any other comments or questions? All right, seeing none, then I'll entertain ordinance number 3381, please.
Ordinance number 3381, an ordinance of the council of the city of Casa Grande, Arizona, approving the city's fiscal year 2023-24 large operating expenditure list, authorizing the approval of purchases in excess of $50,000 for the items listed on the city's fiscal year 2023 through 2024 large operating expenditure list to be done by resolution, and authorizing the transfer of budget authority.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve ordinance number 3381 as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember McBride.
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons.
Yes.
Councilmember Herman.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender.
Yes.
Mayor McFarland.
Yes. All right, next item is C4. This is consider approval ordinance number 3382.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Staff recommends that the council adopts the ordinance to approve the city's fiscal 23-24 capital improvement plan. While each project still requires further council approval, the adoption of the resolution for the approvals can save valuable time and resources for the city. As part of tonight's agenda, the mayor and council will finalize the 2023 budget for the city, which included the funding of $153,970,216 allocated for the capital improvement projects, including city manager reserves. Staff recommends that the mayor and council consider the ordinance to approve the CIP project list for the 23-24 fiscal year, as outlined in the attached documents. Despite the initial approval of the ordinance, each approved project will still need to be presented to council for the approved or denial of the specific project and the authorize a bid or a proposal. However, instead of requiring individual project approvals by ordinance, these projects can be approved through resolutions of the council. This streamlined approach reduces the bureaucracy of processes and allows the projects to progress approximately 45 days faster than the average for the items approved by council. It is important to note that the capitals exceeding $50,000 or more, which are not part of the approval list, will still require an approval through ordinance. By adopting this recommendation, the city can expedite and implement the capital improvement projects, optimize operational efficiency, and allocated resources more effectively. Any questions? If you have any, I'll entertain them.
All right, seeing none, then I'll call for an ordinance number, please, Gloria.
Ordinance number 3382, an ordinance of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, approving the city's fiscal year 2023 through 2024 capital improvements plan, authorizing the approval of purchases in excess of $50,000 for projects on the capital improvement plan to be done by resolution, and authorizing the transfer of budget authority.
Mayor McFarland, I move approval of ordinance number 3382 as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Gloria, can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember McBride?
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons?
Yes.
Councilmember Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender?
Yes.
Mayor McFarland?
Yes. All right, final agenda item, C5, consider approval of resolution number 5559.
Staff recommends approving the partnership agreements with 6 organizations. The total amount is $301,650. Main Street, $39,150. The Historical Society, $34,000. Pinal Alliance for Economic Growth, $25,000. Pinal County Water Augmentation Authority, $20,000. Boys and Girls Club, $140,000. And the Chamber of Commerce, $43,500.
Anyone have any questions about those? Okay. Seeing none, then I'll ask for a resolution number, please, Gloria.
Resolution number 5559, a resolution of the council of the City of Casa Grande, Arizona, authorizing the provision of public services benefits agreement with 6 community partners for fiscal year 2023 through 2024, authorizing expenditure of public funds, and authorizing the execution of 6 agreements by the city manager.
Mayor McFarland, I move to approve resolution number 5559 as presented.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second, Gloria. Can I please get a roll call vote?
Councilmember McBride?
Yes.
Councilmember Fitzgibbons?
Yes.
Councilmember Herman?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lavender?
Yes.
Mayor McFarland?
Yes. All right, thank you, everybody. Meeting stands adjourned.